administration over the firings of federal workers. Matt Piper reports.
In a 2-1 ruling, the appeals court says states do not have the standing to sue the Trump administration's mass termination of probationary employees. It says they only have standing to challenge the process by which the government has engaged in mass firings. In March, 19 states and Washington, D.C. sued federal agencies, alleging the terminations were unlawful and never gave 30 to 60 days advance notice. The court also notes the harm was done to people, not states, none of whom are parties in the suit.
The Chief Justice will allow the president to remove Rebecca Slaughter, a member of the Federal Trade Commission. Lower courts had ordered her reinstatement. Legal analyst Lori Levinson.
This order by Chief Justice Roberts is a real signal that the court continues to empower President Trump to have full control over his agencies and those who are in them.
CBS's Camilo Montoya Galvez reports the Supreme Court cleared the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in Los Angeles.
The High Court, through this ruling, is suspending a lower court order from July that had prohibited federal immigration officials from conducting what advocates called roving immigration arrests that relied on certain factors such as somebody's race or ethnicity, the fact that they were speaking Spanish or English with an accent.
There was a deadly attack on a bus stop near Jerusalem today, and the Israeli offensive into Gaza City is ramping up, as Linda Gradstein reports.
Speaking at the Air Force Command Center in Tel Aviv, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned the residents of Gaza City to, quote, leave now, hours after Israel said it would ramp up airstrikes on Gaza. He also said that Israeli forces are organizing and preparing for a ground maneuver hours after 2 Palestinian gunmen killed at least 6 people in a terrorist attack in Jerusalem.
Venezuela's deploying 25,000 troops to its coastal states to tackle drug trafficking after the U.S. ordered additional fighter jets to Puerto Rico to carry out operations against drug cartels. CBS's Charlie Daggett reports it isn't entirely clear yet whether this is an attempt by President Maduro to de-escalate tensions.
He emphasized that the operations were strictly going after drug smugglers, avoiding any of the kind of language or rhetoric that we had seen in reference to the U.S. military presence there.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made a surprise visit to Puerto Rico today. This is CBS News.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The number of guns and ammo seized from a 13-year-old boy's home. Details coming up. At first, Nate Connors is at the KIRO Newsradio traffic desk.
Thanks, Heather. Let's update you in Pacific, where we now have 2 left lanes blocked northbound 167 at Stewart Road. That leaves 1 lane open, and you're in a 3-mile bumper-to-bumper backup right now. Southbound 167 will jam up just briefly at the seam. Through JBLM, our backup has grown just a bit. South 5, 4-mile thick backup starting near Gravely Lake Drive. Tacoma to Olympia, though, has gone up to an hour and 15-minute commute. Now, this is the only backup along this stretch, so once you get through it, you're good to go. Eastbound 16 still slows through Gig Harbor for about 2 miles between Burnham Drive and Rosedale. And out toward Montlake, westbound 520, the off-ramp to Lake Washington Boulevard is now fully blocked. It's shut down. I'm seeing a large police presence. No word exactly yet is what's happening there. I'll dig into this and see if I can have it for our next report. KIRO News Radio real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. A 13-year-old Pierce County boy is in custody, suspected of planning a mass shooting. Deputy Carly Capetto says deputies seized about 40 firearms from his Parkland home.
Mainly long guns, rifles. Many of them appear to be homemade using like a 3D printer type style.
There were also boxes and boxes of ammunition and concerning writings.
This suspect was just infatuated with a mass shooting incident.
Investigators were tipped off by the boy's social media posts. 2 female workers at an Edmonds massage business are hospitalized after they were attacked with a metal coat rack yesterday.
The 2 female employees were found battered and unconscious inside Eva Spa Massage on Edmonds Way. Edmonds police say they quickly arrested a 48-year-old man who admitted to the attacks, telling officers he was upset he did not kill the victims. He's been booked on 2 counts of attempted murder. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Seattle police are looking for up to 10 people who used a car to smash mash into the front of a smoke shop in the Greenwood neighborhood this morning. KIRO 7 TV's Brooke Griffin is on the scene.
Extreme damage at the Exhale Tobacco shop here on 85th Street, right in Greenwood. The shop owner says this is about $70,000 worth of damage and lost goods. They say that this is not the first time that somebody's even tried to smash into their store. This happened at least one other time a few years ago as well.
Families in Tacoma are scrambling to find new schools and refunds after a private school abruptly canceled classes.
We had already paid in full up front for the school year. We had been promised that funds would not be accepted until they knew for sure that the school was going to proceed.
Sound Christian Academy, formerly Tacoma Baptist School, says it simply doesn't have the funding needed to continue. KIRO 7 TV reports the school has operated since the 1960s. In front of a roaring home crowd, it was the Seattle Seahawks game to lose, and they lost 17-13 against rival San Francisco. Newly minted Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold.
After I came off the field, after the game, I knew that wasn't our standard.
Seattle will have a chance to bounce back next Sunday as the Hawks travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 KIRO FM. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the mid-70s. It's 67 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO Newsradio.
Behold, a fiendish masterpiece from the bowels of hell! Yeah. Mondays, for I hate Mondays. They make me so steamed. Weekends, I go for the weekends. Son of a
Happy Monday, September 8th. Jake Skorheim here, sitting alongside Greg Tomlin, who's in again. Spike O'Neill's not in yet. He's not back yet, so we get Greg.
What up, Jake? Yeah, glad to be here again. And, I understand a lot of people when they return to work on Monday get a case of the Mondays, to quote a phrase from Office Space. I always love Mondays in talk radio because between Friday evening and Monday morning,
there's so much to talk about.
So much happening, so much to talk about. And, man, I'm chomping at the bit to get to a lot of stories today that are of public interest.
There are a ton. There were two giant viral stories over the weekend that spread around the internets that we're going to get to. One was a horrific, we're not going to start with this because it's just, it's not local, which we always try to start with local stuff. But we will get to it later. There was a horrific video that was released over the weekend that people got of a murder that happened on a light rail in North Carolina. It was just awful. And then that has all these side stories connected to it when you start digging into the background of the person who is in the video doing the stabbing. It's just awful. And then the other story that went viral this weekend in like a major way was the Phillies Karen, which is I only need to say two words, Phillies Karen, and I guarantee you 95% of our listening audience knows exactly who I'm talking about. Obviously, Greg, as soon as I said, hey, did you see that Phillies Karen? You're like, oh yeah, totally. I was at a wedding this weekend, actually, and I was, they sit you at a table. And I was sitting there, and the only thing that my table wanted to talk about was not the beautiful wedding that we had just witnessed. Everybody's like, did you see Phillies Karen? Did you see Phillies Karen? So we'll get into that in just a little bit. First here, locally, first things first, Seahawks opener, blah, not fun, not good. Here's the final play where Sam Darnold was stripped by Nick Bosa, whose arms, by the way, look like a comic book character. That man is a giant, but listen to this.
2nd down and 5. Darnold takes the shotgun snap. Looks, fires. Ball comes off his hand. Is it a fumble? Is it an incomplete pass? If it's a fumble, the Niners recover ball game. The ball, I believe, was tipped away from Darnold as he was rearing back to throw. As the pressure got in there to Sam Darnold, ball hits the ground. Bosa recovers, and that's going to do it.
And that's going to do it. You don't need our in-depth analysis because that's not what you're here for. You're here for our snarky commentary on other things. But if you want to listen to that, sports is covering it in a great way, in a depressing way, I should say. But I can only tell you my experience watching it. I was so excited for the season opener. Great. They make this like beautiful pass down the side to Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
So they look like, all right, these guys are going to march back with like a minute 37 left. They're going to win the game. This is a great start for Sam Darnold's new era as a Seahawk. This is going to be the team. Yes, I'm all excited. And then that stupid thing happens. The ball gets knocked out.
Unfortunate in many regards, and disappointing home opener. I was happy to see that the 12s were out in full force amidst some reports from some ticket-selling website that there might be more 49ers fans in the stands. I don't think that was the case. I think it was probably more like 70-30 Seahawk fans to Niners fans. I agree with G. Scott's analysis on that. But you know what it left me
30%
wondering?
of those Niners fans were probably cops.
Yeah, at least 20% anyways.
Niners fans.
Interesting to see if any arrests were made. We'll have to follow up on that. But okay. You said you don't want to go in-depth analysis. I love deep in the weeds sports analysis, Jake. My big question is, though, who is the big playmaker for the Seahawks this year? Did you see enough from Smith and Jigba yesterday to think that's a guy that defenses are going to spend extra time in the film room watching? Is it Sam Darnold in his debut? I mean, it's going to be fascinating to watch this team evolve and sort of grow into an identity this year. I thought the teams were fairly evenly matched, but, home opener, season opener for the Niners on the road, I think emotion, adrenaline was running high, and I just sort of had this sinking feeling like the Hawks weren't going to get it done, even on that last drive, and lo and behold, it ends in one of the most disappointing, kind of clumsy ways. I think the ball Sam Darnold was passing went off someone's back. So it wasn't even like a clean strip and like an amazing play. It was like a oopsie.
Yeah, his left tackle was pushed into him because Nick Bosa's arms
the
are
wind
the size of
just gets sucked out of your sails. But it's
only
game
He's a massive man. Nick Bosa is a massive man, and he just
you were
into the game.
Obsessed and fixated on his biceps this morning. But
I mean, because I'm a
dude,
red-blooded American man. When I see another man with giant biceps.
You have to take note.
I have bicep envy, and I have a lot of. I see that, and I go, "That's a lot of time."
Duly noted.
That.
Duly noted.
To be fair, his biceps kind of look like he could crack a walnut. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you could balance 100%. A walnut, right?
Okay. Yeah, you could crack a walnut for sure. All right, let's get off Nick Bosa's biceps. As much as I'd like to keep talking about him, and Sophia would, I think, as well. Parking tickets. Did you guys see this story? Fox 13 had this story. Seattle writes a lot of parking tickets. In the first half of this year, 188,780 parking tickets in the city of Seattle. From 2022 to 24, Seattle wrote 964,577 parking tickets. And I had a bunch of those.
I did a little math here, Jake, as did I, by the way. I think I'm responsible for maybe 500 of those.
Wow.
188,000 parking tickets were written in the first 6 months of 2025. Now, I failed AP Calculus in high school, but I did fairly well in algebra, and once upon a time I was a card counter at the blackjack tables doing perfectly, elementary-type math. So I crunched the numbers.
Plus your phone has a calculator.
And there you go. Okay, I crunched the numbers here a little bit. That's over 1,000 tickets a day. 1,000 tickets a day.
That makes sense.
In a 24-hour period, 44 tickets were given per hour. That's one ticket for parking every 80 seconds issued around the city. A couple takeaways from this, which should be alarming to anybody, okay? This shows you that the city is able to enforce the law when they want to, right?
When it makes some money.
At will.
Yeah.
If you're able to give a parking ticket every 80 seconds for 6 straight months, surely more can be done about open-air drug use, petty theft, violent crime, homeless encampments, on and on and on. It's just a matter of where and when the city wants to exercise its will, right?
Did you crunch the numbers on how much money that brought in? Do you have that number?
I know my parking tickets are anywhere between $50 and $70.
They range, as of January 1st, 25, the parking tickets range from $43 to $78. Now, I have gotten 2 tickets so far this year. 3. 3.
Don't sell yourself short.
I believe they were all for that upper range. I think they were all like $78. So wherever I was parking, it was the 2-hour zone that you're not supposed to park in. They also got rid of a ton of parking. Did you guys notice that?
Yes,
I feel like they swooped in and they put up new signs, and suddenly everything was 2 hours.
Yep.
That was before, like, you could easily park here all day. Now it's all 2 hours. And then it feels like the second you're over that 2-hour limit, there's a guy in a tiny little truck, like behind. And one time I was in the studio here doing the show. My good buddy Jason Rance, who's got a nice office with a window, is looking outside at the street, and he sends me a text message of a picture of my car, and the
meter maid.
Red alert, red alert.
And I shouldn't have called him a meter maid. I would just call him that time I would say he was a...
Lovely Rita.
He was a man, and he was a upstanding police officer. Because when I got out there, he had made a mistake on my license plate, and so he was reprocessing the ticket as I got out there. And he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I haven't fully processed you yet, so you can actually move your car," which is great. A week later, he got me again in a different spot that I didn't even realize was 2 hours. So on that day, he was a meter maid. But it happens all the time. People are getting tickets all the time.
I'm astounded at how many times I've gotten a ticket for 5 minutes over, 10 minutes over. I was in the International District just about a month or two ago. Had fed the meter, used my own unique creative ways. I had to work down there, right? So I had to be down there for like 6 hours. Everything is 2 hour parking, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a game of cat and mouse. I'm like, look, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I just want to drive down to Seattle, put in some work hours, and go home without, having to run away from the meter enforcers everywhere, right? And sure enough, it was about 7 minutes after my time ran out. I got like a $70 ticket. And then so I wrote, I checked the little mark on the parking ticket that said, I want to explain the circumstances, like in court. Traditionally, when I do that, they say, hey, we don't want to spend our time with you in like a courtroom. So do you want to pay half your ticket?
Yeah.
And I say, sure, I'll pay $35. This time they were not like, nope, we'll see your beep in court. And so I just ended up paying. I don't have time for that. I can't go down there.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my other big takeaway from this 188,000 parking tickets in half a year. Washington State and Seattle in particular has it out for drivers.
Of course
they want to
do.
make it as difficult as possible for you to drive your car here, forcing people either into mass transit or light rail. Cars are the enemy, especially single occupancy drivers. And this fits into all kinds of narratives around climate justice, climate initiatives, and just the general disdain for people and their personal freedom because the government wants to dictate to you when, where, and how you get around. So it's not surprising
they don't want you
almost
driving.
200,000 parking tickets in 6 months.
Fox 13 spoke with somebody whose name was Rolando Cardona. It's a nice name to say. It rolls off the tongue. I like that. Rolando Cardona. Rolando Cardona. It's ironic. He says, it's definitely confusing. He's talking about the signs because they showed him a picture like signs. These road signs are very confusing. You have to be a genius from MIT to understand them, or just somebody smarter than me. That's who I assume understands these things. Geniuses from MIT. But Rolando says, it's definitely confusing. That's why I was just like on the roadway. I would just see this and I would just pass it all together because these signs are so confusing. And so he says the simple way that now he tries to avoid tickets, he says, I just take public transit, which is, again, to your point, what they're trying to do. Although I was driving in, it's just not like you can't force this, folks. It's not going to happen. They need to stop making this try to happen. It's like that. What's that movie? Fetch?
Mean Girls?
Yeah, Mean Girls. It's like stop trying to make Fetch happen. I was driving in the other morning, 9:15, whatever time it was, and driving. It was a Thursday. Should have been a full train from Linwood. I'm driving in northbound, south on 5 because I come in from Snohomish County. The light rail is zooming past me, coming in from Linwood. I shouldn't have done this. And I didn't because I'm a good person, but I was tempted to take my phone out and take a picture of how empty the train was at 9:15 a.m. Now, maybe at 7:45, it was packed, and everybody was heading in at 7:45 and it was packed. But when I looked at the light rail driving in from Linwood, as it was like sailing past me, just as it goes up over the freeway on that elevated part of the track, there was like 20 people in all, and what is there, 4 cars or something? 4 or 5 cars on those trains? Everybody had 4 rows to themselves. It was completely empty. You think about the cost of running that train every single day, all the time, to service, on that run, 20 people in all the different cars. It just is not worth it.
Maybe
it's absolutely not worth it.
Maybe it's just full of apparitions and you weren't using your sixth sense to decipher.
Oh, it's a ghost train? It could be a ghost train, I guess. All right, we got a lot of stuff coming up. I want to play you this clip really quick before because we have a really great guest coming on with us next. We're going to talk with Rachel Savage, who is running for Seattle City Council, seat number 8. And she was inspired to run because of all of the crazy stuff that we're seeing on the streets in Seattle. And we talked to that guy on Friday. Remember we had the Jonathan in on Friday
who was just passing by a press conference by a current Seattle City Council member, president of it actually, who was speaking in front of a Fred Meyer that's closing in Lake City. And he's like, is it possible that you guys are unaware of how bad it's gotten? He's like, I'm literally, to get to this press conference, just walking past people with needles in their hand 20 feet from ago. Like, look, everybody turn and look over there. There's a guy with drugs right there. Why aren't these people being arrested? Why aren't they being pulled off the streets? And so we had him in the studio on Friday, and he runs a small business out of his house, but most of the time he's taking care of his 2 kids. And he was telling us that it's gotten really, really bad. And we all know that anecdotally. We've all talked to people who've experienced things, or they've had their car stolen. I've had a car stolen. Laura had her car stolen. Spike had his car stolen. It's gotten very, very bad, and people don't seem to be wanting to acknowledge it or deal with it in a meaningful way in Seattle. And so Rachel Savage is running for this seat, and she's like, listen, this housing first thing that everybody's got going, it's not working. We're spending a ton of money on this problem. It's getting worse. The neighborhood's becoming less safer. And this was at a candidate forum just a couple days ago, and I believe this was in, where was this at? Where's this candidate forum? The Lake Candidate Forum. Sophia, do you know where this clip came from? I'm looking at it right now. We'll figure it out. Anyway, she's sitting there with her, who she's running against, which is Alexis Mercedes Rink. And she was explaining, Rachel Savage is explaining, to much cheers from the crowd, that this housing first thing just doesn't work.
Housing First has been a colossal failure. It's led to crime and dereliction in our neighborhoods. It's crushed businesses. These projects that have the permanent supportive housing, the drug addict apartments for drug addicts for free, destroy neighborhoods. I'm living in one of them. That's right. I'm living in one of them on Capitol Hill.
You hear the cheers there, and this is a Holler Lake candidate forum that was happening.
They're like a dirty bomb. You put it in the neighborhood, and without proper law enforcement, every neighborhood, if you don't have one in your neighborhood, my opponent, Alexis Mercedes Rink, is going to make sure that one comes to a neighborhood near you. And if you want to see how this works out, go to the Chinatown International District and see how it's working out for them. Go to Belltown. Go to Capitol Hill. It's a nightmare, and I will not let it happen on the city council if I'm elected. Thank you.
So I'm excited she's going to be with us next, and maybe she's got some different ideas. And Greg, I'm wondering when it's going to be that people in Seattle will just say, you know what, let's put party politics aside. Doesn't really matter what the person is, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Why don't we focus on getting people into office who want to clean up the streets to make it safe? Like, isn't that a bipartisan thing? Nobody wants to be fearful of riding on public transit. Nobody wants to be fearful of walking down the street just to get to, or seeing your local grocery store closed because crime has gotten so bad.
You would think so, Jake. I mean, to me and you, that concept sounds like common sense. But I'll reiterate this point that I made last week when we were on a similar topic, and that is, I think we underestimate the amount of people that think the homeless and homeless encampments and open air drug use is a freedom that people should have and be able to exercise. And so our notion of getting clean and becoming a part of civilized society is something we think everybody should embrace. I'm not so sure far left progressive Seattle agrees with that notion. I think they think if you're homeless and you want to live homeless, we should not infringe upon that God-given sacred right to camp right in 2-hour parking.
Yeah, that's it. That's a way to skirt the public parking. Just like tell them you're dealing drugs and they'll leave you alone. Yes. That's what you should do.
No, you say it as a joke, but
it's not advice you should actually take. Don't take that advice.
We laugh so we don't cry.
All right, Rachel Savage, who thinks a little bit differently. She's running for Seattle City Council. I like the way she thinks. She's going to join us next in studio. So if you guys want to watch online, just watch the passion in our faces as we talk about this. Also the blood pressure. You're going to want to see that. Go to youtube.com and search in the search bar KIRO 97.3 FM, and you can watch us live, Jake and Spike live. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around. Right back.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.
The Northwest's trusted news source, KIRO News Radio.
Police in Federal Way are investigating what appears to be a car explosion.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is live from the neighborhood.
I can't tell you enough how crazy this scene is here.
Coverage you depend on.
A massive police presence in Kent.
From voices you know and trust.
We have an active fire inside one of these buildings here.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Cold is leaking and rats are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
Upgrade your home comfort and save 20% during the Bob's Heating preseason furnace sale. With great savings plus free financing on heat pumps, water heaters, generators, and more, our award-winning team has what you need to stay cozy this chilly season at a cost you're comfortable with. Voted best in the Pacific Northwest, we're honored to be your dedicated home comfort company since 1957. Call Bob's and save today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600.
Meet Sarah. She tried one of those online weight loss programs, filled out a form, got a prescription, and a few weeks later, she felt dizzy, weak, and frustrated. No one was checking in. No one was making sure the plan was safe for her body. That's when she turned to Longevity Medical Clinics. Our medically supervised GLP-1 program helped Sarah lose weight safely, while we monitored her progress every step of the way. Today, she feels healthier, stronger, and more confident than ever. At Longevity Medical Clinics, we believe weight loss isn't just about dropping pounds. It's about restoring your health with real doctors, real monitoring, and a plan that works for your body. If you're serious about losing weight and you want to do it the right way, Longevity Medical Clinic is here to help. Call Longevity Medical Clinics today at 866-86-YOUNG or visit longevitymedicalclinic.com for your free health analysis. Longevity Medical Clinics. Safe, supported, life-changing. longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Goodbye baseball. Home runs in 3 consecutive games. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper.
The Mariners' postseason push is on, and there's a whole new way to be part of the action. Introducing the Home Stretch Flex Plan, a $500 membership that gives you the freedom to choose your games and seats for the rest of the season, all while saving 5% on tickets and no fees.
Strike 3 call. Triple digits to end it and complete the sweep.
You can use your credit however you want. Go big with club seats for a couple high-stakes showdowns, or stretch it out into the final series against the Dodgers. And the best part? Homestretch Flex members get priority access to our postseason pre-sale. That means you're first in line when October comes calling. The team is locked in. And now it's time to bring the energy down the stretch. Come on board today at mariners.com/homestretch. Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
Planning a road trip? Plan a visit to your neighborhood Bucky's Complete Auto Repair for oil changes, brakes, AC repair, and factory maintenance. No appointment needed, and yes, friendly financing is available. Visit buckys.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. The U.S. Supreme Court is pausing a lower court ruling that had prohibited federal immigration agents from conducting roving immigration arrests based on profiling.
Somebody's race and ethnicity, the fact that they were speaking Spanish, as I said, or English with an accent, their occupation as a day laborer, for example, or their presence in a location like a Home Depot parking lot.
CBS's Kimio Montoya Galvez says that type of enforcement was happening in Southern California. Growing concern in Chicago, the President troop might send federal agents and National Guard troops there. More from CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Thousands who protested in Chicago over the weekend and attended a Mexican Independence Day parade worried about what's to come.
It is a concern every day going out the house and something is going to happen.
White House border czar Tom Homan says Chicago and other so-called sanctuary cities should absolutely expect stepped-up immigration enforcement this week and doesn't rule out asking for help from the National Guard.
Sanctuary cities include Seattle. Florida plans to become the first state to phase out all childhood vaccine requirements. The state surgeon general says he has not studied the potential impact of that decision. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
This is alarming. If you're going to make a big change in policy, any kind of policy, whether it's public health or not, you should be making projections as to what will be the positive and negative impacts of that decision.
A Washington state lawmaker says she'll introduce a bill to ban cell phones from classrooms. Republican state Representative Stephanie McClintock tells Seattle Red's Jason Rance.
We have a generation of anxious kids, and cell phone use, social media is at the core of it.
Most districts already have rules that limit cell phones. Some parents say banning phones altogether goes too far. After 20 years of work, Seattle's new waterfront park officially opened over the weekend.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's amazing. We didn't even know this existed and that there was just so much done to revamp this place.
The new park stretches from Railroad Way South to Pier 62 with a new overlook walk where the old viaduct used to be, connecting the city to the shoreline. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 35 points, NASDAQ ahead 98. Nate Connors is at the KIRO News Radio traffic desk.
Thanks, Heather. Washington 811 has our update. Good news in Pacific. We cleared that earlier collision northbound 167 at Stewart. No longer any backups there. Same with Montlake. We cleared our collision at the westbound 520 off-ramp to Lake Washington Boulevard. Now that drive between Tacoma and Olympia, however, just got worse. We got a new collision South 5 just past Marvin Road in Lacey. Looks like a semi and car tangled up, blocking your right lane. You're in a 3 to 4 mile backup already. Another 4 mile backup heading through JBLM. All added up, Tacoma to Olympia right now is taking you an hour and 20 minutes. Your drive through Seattle looks great though in both directions of I-5, as does the rest of our travel map. If you're digging in your yard, the law requires you to call 811 to avoid dangerous and costly damages to utility lines. Call 811 or submit online at digsafewa.com. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies with highs in the mid-70s today. It's 69 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the show. I am very excited to welcome in the studio Rachel Savage. She's Seattle City Council candidate for position number 8, and she joins us now. Rachel, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Rachel, you have been on my radar for a while. You are trying to think a little bit outside the box, at least the Seattle box. It feels like a very common sense box for, I think, most of the rest of the world. But in Seattle, it's an uncommon way of thinking. You'd actually like to help clean up the streets of Seattle instead of making the problem worse. And I just want to play a really fast clip. I saw this from a candidate forum that you had recently, and this is you against your opponent, Alexis Mercedes Rink, and talking about the Housing First and how that works in the great city of Seattle. Listen to this.
Housing First has been a colossal failure. It's led to crime and dereliction in our neighborhoods. It's crushed businesses. These projects that have the permanent supportive housing, the drug addict apartments for drug addicts for free, destroy neighborhoods. I'm living in one of them. That's right. I'm living in one of them on Capitol Hill. They're like a dirty bomb. You put it in the neighborhood, and without proper law enforcement, every neighborhood, if you don't have one in your neighborhood, my opponent, Alexis Mercedes Rink, is going to make sure that one comes to a neighborhood near you. And if you want to see how this works out, go to the Chinatown International District and see how it's working out for them. Go to Belltown. Go to Capitol Hill. It's a nightmare, and I will not let it happen on the city council if I'm elected. Thank you.
So if folks haven't seen that video, it's interesting for a number of reasons. One, I think you're spot on in what you're saying, but also if you watch your opponent's face as you're talking about these things, she's being confronted with a reality, and obviously the crowd agrees with you. You hear them cheering, and, these forums are not generally filled with people giving standing ovations. So obviously you're saying something that's hitting home. Why did you get into this, and tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I have a business, a street-level retail business on Capitol Hill, and I've had that business since 1998.
Wow.
And the crime, the dereliction, the fentanyl, the methamphetamine, the severe mental illness, as I see it's an epidemic in our city, came right to my doorstep. And so I'd never been particularly involved with politics, but I started to have to ask myself, who's running this city? And why are people smoking fentanyl at the bus stop? Why are people stealing with impunity from the grocery store? Why are the businesses all around me closing? I mean, this is people's life's work, their all their money, all their time. And so what I saw was this is a direct result of city policy. The other thing about me is I have been helping addicts recover from addiction for 35 years. I'm a recovered drug addict myself, which means, in my view, drug-free continuously.
Yeah.
And so I know about addiction. And my opponent, Alexis Mercedes Rink, and I believe the city council and the mayor, they're in over their head with this addiction problem that's happening on our streets.
Let me ask you a question. We did a story maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, but there were some numbers that came out, and they looked at how much of Washington State. Now, Washington is like Oregon or any of these, like left coast states. They're spending a ton of money on this homeless issue, which are a lot of people who have horrible drug addictions. And in Washington State, over the last biennium, 2 years, I had to look that up. I didn't know that's what it was. But 2 years, they spent $2 billion on this issue. Like maybe a little more than $2 billion, to address 22,000 people at last count that are homeless on the streets of Seattle. I mean, it's mostly Seattle, but in Washington. And the number, so that breaks down to about $90,000 per person that they have spent on this issue, and the number increased by 25%. Does that surprise you at all, or does that make total sense to you?
Well, it makes you wonder if this is a problem that they don't want to be solved.
Great question.
My opponent, Alexis Mercedes Rink, believes that housing has miraculous powers. She believes if you just give an addict a house or a severely mentally ill house, a free apartment in the city, mind you, prime real estate. Some of these places have a view of the Space Needle. And she believes if you give them that they'll miraculously, their addiction will be cured, they won't commit crimes, the severely mentally ill will stabilize and become productive members of society. That's not happening. They're moving directly from tents, living on the animal level, severe addiction, severe mental illness, and going straight into apartments without any requirement for treatment. So they talk about wraparound services. You know what that means? It means nonprofits who aren't held accountable to anyone spending money to help solve this problem. As you see, it's just becoming worse and worse and worse.
Rachel, you said you've operated a business on Capitol Hill for close to 30 years, is it? Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
Last time I frequented Capitol Hill, my wife and I were in our 20s. It wasn't uncommon to find us going to a show at Neumos or the Comet, maybe hit up Big Mario's Pizza, Redwood for a nightcap, or Linda's Tavern. But it's been a while since I've frequented those parts of the city. We live on the east side now and raising a family there in the suburbs. But so you have unique insight, though, into the changes that have happened over decades. Talk a little bit about, the conditions maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and the shift. What has taken place? You alluded to the notion that city policy has played a big part in sort of the debasing of areas like Capitol Hill. But what specifically, and when did you really start to see a change, a noticeable change, that things aren't as they used to be around here?
Right. Well, I'm a city girl. I love the city. I want to live the city way of life, not have a car, be able to walk to everything. And I used to be able to do that. So I worked downtown in the 90s I was a hairdresser. And downtown in the early 90s was popping. It was fun. The stores were full. People were dressed to impress.
Grunge was taking off.
Right, that's right. It smells like Teen Spirit. Yeah, I mean, it was happening, and it was fun, and it was safe. It was safe. You could go.
Yeah.
And then Capitol Hill used to also be just a vibrant neighborhood. All the businesses were full. You could go out. You could have fun. You didn't see the danger that you see now. The drugs have changed. Well, I think two things have happened. One, we've dismantled our law enforcement system. So the police in the city of Seattle are apparently not allowed to arrest for public drug use.
This makes zero sense to
me.
Right? We talk about this all the time. Like, if you see somebody doing a hard drug that's clearly illegal, why aren't you arresting that person? Just get them off the street. Just start there.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. And so the drug addicts are able to just use drugs out in public. We have the severely mentally ill who are dangerous and unpredictable. I've gotten some pushback about this, but we see, and it's tragic and it's horrible. We see, somebody just got stabbed on the bus last night. I don't know if that was drug-related, mental illness. It was definitely due to a lack of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And then the way they changed the way that they treated drug addiction. We used to have a diversion program which charged criminals with a crime first, and then they could do a diversion treatment program, but always hanging over their head
carrot and stick.
Was jail.
Yeah.
And so when we quit putting people in jail for committing crime, it not only affects the addicts and not gives them the treatment they need, the rest of the citizens suffer. The businesses, the kids walking to school, the people that want to use public transportation and the bus stop, everything. It destroys cities.
Do you feel like we've reached a tipping point where people are willing to try something different? We've been doing this for a while. We've been going down this road for a while where we just say, hey, you know what, give them a house and that's going to fix every problem. If they don't feel like they're on the streets, they're not going to act like they're on the streets. But that's clearly not working. It's obvious in the evidence, and we've seen the stats now and the money that we've wasted. So do you feel like if you get on the city's council, can you fix that?
Absolutely. Well, number one, the citizens of Seattle are generous. They've been voting for levies. They've been offering their taxes to be spent to fix this problem. So I think the citizens of Seattle want this fixed, and they're ready for a new approach. My opponent, Alexis Mercedes-Rink, she's going to do the same thing. She's going to double down. More housing, free apartments for addicts. So absolutely we can change through amending the drug law, through declaring a state of emergency for this drug and fentanyl epidemic. And people aren't going to want to hear this, but get ready. The federal government just put out an executive order to help us change the way we treat addiction. And they're going to fund it if we change to an abstinence-based treatment program for people. And that's what's going to work. And the severely mentally ill, they're going to help us build mental hospitals again. Everybody blames Reagan when you talk about the severely mentally ill on the street. They say, oh, well, Reagan let them all out on the streets. Well, okay. Now we know exactly what we need to do to fix it. Just reverse that.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, Tom Wolf from San Francisco, he does a lot of work with addiction and what's happening in the city there. And he says, I don't care if Mickey Mouse is president. I'm going to work with the president, the administration who wants to help us fix this problem and approach it differently. And that's exactly the gift we've just been given. So I'm the only one on the council who apparently is happy to work with the federal government in this way. I think it's a big win for Seattle.
Well, Rachel, if somebody wants to find out a little bit more about you and your campaign, where can they find you?
The campaign is savagecitizens.com. So it's going to take a savage to win, apparently.
Yeah.
And citizens, all of you. So campaigns are people-powered. And that is people giving money to campaigns to be able to run the campaign. So we still are fundraising. Please give what you can. Please support in any other way you can. Go to the website, and I think Seattle's ready for a change.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Rachel Savage, savagecitizens.com. Check her out. Thanks for making the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And best of luck in your campaign. I hope you do very well. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's G. Scott. School's back, and it's rally time. Time to rally around the campaign to keep kids healthy. Kids need fruits and veggies to grow strong and stay focused, but for families on tight budgets, that's not easy. Safeway and the Washington State Department of Health have teamed up and need your help. Every dollar you donate at Safeway checkout helps families in need. And with SNAP Produce Match, they get twice as much for the dollar. Next time you're at Safeway, please donate to keep kids healthy.
It started as a puddle.
Where?
In the shower.
Uh-oh.
Then the kitchen sink.
Started backing up?
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Clogged up.
Right. No problem.
Beg your pardon?
There's no clog we can't clear.
You're Dan.
From Apollo Plumbing.
This is going to get pricey.
How about $83?
To clear my drain?
Apollo Plumbing clears main drains every day.
For $83?
83 or it's free.
What's the catch?
No catch. We'll even do a camera inspection.
Why's that?
It's the best way to find the cause of your clog.
And it's included?
No extra charge. Truth is, we hate clogs.
I don't love them.
Seen them all.
Ew.
I promise. There's no clog Apollo can't clear.
Guaranteed.
83 or free.
Goodbye, slow drains.
All it takes is an accessible clean out.
And Apollo gets my drains draining again.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
My heroes.
Just doing our job.
Thank you, Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Hey, Jake Skorheim here. When I needed some work done on my roof, there was only one company I was going to call, Valentine Roofing. I needed my roof fixed. Valentine Roofing went the extra mile to get there fast, got my roof looking like new again. The scheduling was seamless and easy. I couldn't be there because obviously I was here doing the show. They were still able to come out. They did all the work. They sent me a convenient link which had pictures, video, an explanation of everything they did to my roof. And best of all, they cleaned up like they were never even there. My roof looked brand new. It looks great. Everything was fantastic. Do not trust your home to anybody else. You need to call Valentine Roofing. Those leaves, needles, and branches, they're going to fall now that the weather's starting to change. And fortunately, Valentine Roofing is knocking out that fall checklist stress-free. They'll even insulate your attic or clean the exterior of your home. And with zero-down financing for most projects, you can get the work done now and you can pay over time. So this fall, give your home the Valentine roof it deserves. Check them out online at valentineroof.com or call 206-ROOFING. That's 206-ROOFING.
Out at the Wilcox family farm, our hens roam freely on fresh green pasture. But that means predators like coyotes and eagles are always nearby. That's where our team of Great Pyrenees help out. These gentle giants were born to protect, and they become a part of our family. Raised alongside the chickens from puppyhood. Our hens are raised humanely, our practices are organic, and our promise is simple. Fresh eggs straight from our farm to your table. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
Have you stopped to think about how you feel today compared to 10 years ago? Are you noticing changes? Less energy, slow recovery, trouble focusing, maybe even weight gain? What if you could turn back the clock and feel stronger, sharper, and more alive? At Longevity Medical Clinic, we help people do exactly that. For over 3 decades, we've been helping thousands of men and women find out what's really going on inside their bodies and take action to feel better and live longer. With advanced diagnostics and personalized hormone and supplement plans, we uncover what's been holding you back and show you how to optimize your health. Our patients often say, "Now I finally understand what's happening and what to do about it." Take the first step. Call 866-86-YOUNG or visit longevitymedicalclinic.com to schedule your free consultation. Longevity Medical Clinic. Feel better. Live longer. Let's do it together. Call 866-86-YOUNG.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Care Partners Senior Living is growing. Amanda here. We are very excited to introduce our newest communities in Port Orchard, Sumner, and North Creek Bothell, bringing compassionate, quality care at an affordable price, closer to more of you. Visit carepartnersliving.com today.
From the roof to the deck, the siding to the gutters, and energy-efficient windows, State Roofing and Exteriors is your one-stop shop for home protection. With over 55 years serving Western Washington, we don't just work here, we live here. We know what your home is up against when the cold sets in and the rain starts falling. Right now, we're making it easier than ever to get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 24 months. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
Welcome back to the show. That was great. Our candidate, Seattle City candidate, Rachel Savage, was just on with us a second ago. If you guys missed that interview, I highly recommend that you tune in to the podcast and check it out or watch the YouTube after the fact. I do think that Seattle could use somebody who thinks a little bit differently than it seems the rest of Seattleites in leadership think about how to fix the homeless issue, which is just getting worse and more dangerous for people. So give her a listen. I think you'd be very surprised and very interested in what she has to say. All right, real fast before we run out of time here. Greg, you found the story. What is this? There's a Nirvana exhibit that's closing?
Yeah, the story piqued my interest. So it's the exhibit at Mopop, which closed after being open for 14 years. It was the longest running exhibit at Mopop, and it included a lot of Nirvana-related relics and things like that, having to do with this highly influential band, not just here in the Northwest, but all around the world. But one of the reasons it interested me, Jake, is okay. So now that we're over 30 years removed from probably the peak of Nirvana, right? As a band, Kurt Cobain hasn't been with us for almost 30 years, I think. It's wild. It's always fascinating to me how legacies in due time sort of change or get revised, or we remember things differently. And the legacy of music and the arts in particular, I've always been of the opinion that all songs ever written will simply at some point in time be relegated to being the soundtrack of the baked goods aisle at the grocery store. Right? Isn't it interesting to think about?
That I don't know if would be able to be played.
Well, yes, that's true. Rape Me, you're probably not going to hear at the local QFC or the Albertsons. But Come As You Are, it smells like Teen Spirit. And it never fails. Think about this. Next time you're at the grocery store pushing that cart with the one wonky wheel that doesn't want to participate, think of the music you're hearing in the background. And I just remember a time when Nirvana was just the biggest thing in the U.S. in terms of music, their influence.
Yeah, and in
their
current
cultural
music,
impact, you know what I mean? And then just the more time goes on, the more people just begin to forget. And I look at my daughter who's 14. Nirvana now is more like a fashion symbol. They don't even know the music, but they know the T-shirt, right? All these 14, 15-year-old girls have... Sophia's laughing over there. Can you validate what I'm saying here?
Yeah, no, the Nirvana fashion or just the band tee of this vintage
it's
rock band.
It's a crudely drawn smiley face with X's as eyes, and it says Nirvana. And teenage girls just eat it up. They could not tell you one lyric of one song of Nirvana. And then I think about this in broader historical context. There was a composer called Franz Liszt, who was a Hungarian virtuoso pianist, and there was something called Listomania, which happened in the middle of the 1800s. and girls just went wild for him, and his music was just the most popular thing in the world. People would turn up by the thousands to see him. It was this huge phenomenon. Can you name one Franz Liszt song? I mean, we're not that far removed, historically speaking. In terms of artists whose work truly passes the test of time, I mean, you can count them all between two hands, probably. I mean, Beethoven, Mozart, maybe Stephen Foster, an early American composer. Franz Liszt, but again, you probably couldn't even hum me one of his melodies. And I just think, what comes of a band like Nirvana another 50 years from now or something like that? I think it's fascinating to think about.
It's weird to think, I know we got to go here, but it's weird for me to think too, when I was growing up, I listened to oldies. I mean, ironically, it was on 97.3 KBSG. Do you remember that? When it was
like my favorite station.
The only thing my family listened to was oldies. And
me too.
The songs from my dad's youth were like the Beatles and, all those guys. And now the songs from our youth would be what you're describing, and it is weird to think about. But we gotta run here.
Okay.
All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around.
The Northwest's trusted news source, KIRO Newsradio.
Police in Federal Way are investigating what appears to be a car explosion.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is live from the neighborhood.
I can't tell you enough how crazy this scene is here.
Coverage you depend on.
A massive police presence in Kent.
From voices you know and trust.
We have an active fire inside one of these buildings here.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers Weight Loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at 4hers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At 4hers.com/radio, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored to you. These include oral medication kits and compounded GLP-1 injections, the same active ingredient that's in Ozempic and Wegovy. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits starts at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help from Hers. Get started at 4hers.com/radio to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's 4hers.com/radio. FORHERS.com/radio.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the roads you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Summer can be the best time of the year, but if it's not feeling good in your house, if it's turning into an oven, some of the problems might be because you don't have enough insulation in your crawl space or attic. In fact, many homes in our region have damaged insulation or even none at all. Yeah, it's Mike Salk here, and you got to get somebody to check on it. That's why you call Crawl Pros. They'll come out and do a full corner-to-corner inspection of your crawl space and attic. And if it turns out that you've got a problem with your insulation, and maybe that's leading to bigger energy bills. Guess what? Local utility companies have special incentives to help with the cost of getting your house properly insulated. In fact, if you're a PSE customer and your home was built before 1990, you could qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to get your attic properly insulated. Yep, 95%. Call Crawl Pros if you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic. Schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Have you tried the dining district at the Bellevue Collection? Grab lunch with friends, meet up for happy hour, and stay for dinner and beyond. You can sample international flavors and local favorites from talented chefs. Try a new cocktail on a rooftop bar or watch the game with friends and explore the lively nightlife scene. The Dining District at the Bellevue Collection, where your taste adventure begins. Learn more at BellevueCollection.com/dining district.
You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it hard to fight flu, pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There was a flurry of legal rulings today on the Trump administration's policies, among them the immigration crackdown in Los Angeles. The Supreme Court weighed in as Christopher Cruz reports.
By a 6-3 vote, the justices lifted a restraining order imposed by a federal district judge who ruled that, quote, roving patrols were conducting indiscriminate arrests in Los Angeles. The judge barred agents from stopping people solely based on their race, language, job, or location. She said there was a, quote, mountain of evidence that the agents' tactics were violating the Constitution.
The Illinois governor's office says it's received no formal communication or information from the Trump administration on immigrant or crime operations there and is calling it a reality show. CBS's Usher Qureshi has more.
We're already hearing about pockets of small ICE operations with some arrests being made, but not in the large scale that we were anticipating leading into this.
South Korea's foreign minister's en route to the U.S. to finalize steps for the return home of several hundred workers detained during a massive immigration raid in Georgia at a Hyundai battery plant. CBS's Camilo Montoya Galvez.
What the Trump administration has agreed to send a charter flight here to the U.S. to pick up those workers. That would avoid the legal deportation process that could involve civil penalties and that could exile these workers from the U.S. for up to 10 years. So this could be a more diplomatic way in the eyes of South Korea to handle the situation. It also avoids having their citizens remain in ICE custody indefinitely.
An appeals court has upheld a civil jury's decision requiring President Trump pay $83 million to E. Jean Carroll. The award stemmed from Trump's repeated social media attacks against Carroll after she accused him of sexual assault. CBS's Weijia Jiang.
The president's legal team was trying to argue that his speech should have been protected under the Supreme Court's ruling of presidential immunity, and because he made the remarks in question about defamation during his time in office, they claim that he should be protected. But this 3-panel appeals court disagreed.
As tensions increase between the U.S. and Venezuela, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has made a surprise visit to Puerto Rico, where the administration recently sent more fighter jets. Venezuela's president is sending 25,000 troops to coastal areas to tackle drug trafficking. Jury selection began today in the Florida trial of Ryan Ruth, accused of trying to assassinate Trump. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A 13-year-old boy arrested for allegedly planning a mass shooting. Details coming up. But first, Nate Connors is at the KIRO Newsradio Traffic Desk.
Thanks, Heather. Closets by Design has our update. Tacoma to Olympia, we're struggling today. An hour and 15 minutes right now. You've got 2 big backups in your way. First, a 3-mile backup through JBLM, and then a 4-mile backup starting at the Nisqually River Bridge down to Marvin Road, where we have a collision on your right shoulder, but it's right next to the main line, so traffic jams up at the seam. Southbound traffic is building on Marvin Road now as drivers look for an alternate route. Outside of this, it's really a smooth commute across the region this afternoon. Linwood to Seattle, just 20 minutes. Bellevue to Renton, only 15. And Renton to Auburn is just a 10-minute drive. Custom storage solutions for closets, garages, home offices, and more. Go to closetsbydesign.com to see current specials or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to learn more. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch.
We have stopped something very serious from happening.
Pierce County deputies say they arrested a 13-year-old Parkland boy who made alarming social media posts and had a cache of weapons.
At least 40 guns.
Many of them appear to be homemade using like a 3D printer.
Pierce County Sheriff spokesperson Carly Capetto says material found in the home indicates the boy idolized shooters and had plans for an unspecified attack.
Unknown if it was going to be a school shooting or just a mass shooting in general.
Will his parents face charges? Capetto says prosecutors have yet to decide. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
2 female workers at an Edmonds massage business are hospitalized with head trauma after police say they were violently attacked with a metal coat rack yesterday. Police arresting a 48-year-old man. It's unclear what led up to the attack. The Sugarloaf wildfire, about 25 miles northeast of Leavenworth, blew up in size over the weekend. Fire Information Officer Bill Queen.
12,453 acres. We expect that to continue to grow.
It is 0% contained. The fire is threatening more than 1,100 homes, which are under varying levels of evacuations. But there are level 3 get out now warnings for the entire town of Ardenvohr and for an area west of the Entiat River. Financial troubles at a private school in Tacoma forced it to close just days before the first day of school. KIRO 7 TV's Deborah Horn reports that has families scrambling to find new schools and asking about refunds.
Sound Christian Academy announced a day after orientation that this school, started in 1960, was shutting its doors. And what have you thought about the school?
I have loved it.
The news is a big blow for Tamra Finkston and her family.
We had already paid in full up front.
Now with the school closed, little has been said about the $21,000 in tuition they already paid.
It was an explosive weekend for the Mariners offense in Atlanta.
And it's now the Mariners 18 and the Braves 1.
The M's ended up beating the Braves 18-2 yesterday. The Mariners now sit just 2.5 games behind the division-leading Astros. The M's take on the St. Louis Cardinals at T-Mobile Park tonight. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the mid-70s. It's 69 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the show. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go. In just a few minutes, we're going to dive into probably the most important story that happened over the weekend that everybody seemed to care about. I'm being a little facetious. We're going to talk about Philly's Karen, which was the viral video that went around of the woman who took a baseball back from a guy. It's actually disputed on who had the ball first. They were at a ballpark in, I think, Miami. The video spread around the world, and everybody had very strong opinions on it. And it's a very funny story, actually, so we should discuss it. Also, side note, isn't it wild how crazy just a life of its own something can have on the internet, where instantly it's just like, this is what everybody's talking about. We're all deciding this is the thing, and we're all going to have an opinion on it. And now we're waiting. We'll get into all that in just a second. So we'll get into it. Let's start with something local that I have an opinion on. Maybe Greg does as well. I'm sure Greg does as well. I'd be interested in your take on this, audience. 888-973-5476. Also on the YouTube. If you guys are on YouTube, check us out. Go to KIRO Newsradio 97.3, and you can listen, you can watch live the Jake and Spike Show, which is a lot of fun. Bruce Harrell, who is running for re-election right now, not looking great for his re-election campaign, but that depends on who you ask, I guess. I guess if you're looking at numbers, then it's not. If you're asking numbers, it's not looking great.
Didn't fare well in the primary, but we'll see when it comes to the big election.
Yeah, we'll see in the actual election what happens. All right, so Seattle Times had this really interesting piece that highlights why I think a lot of people find politics to be so gross. And I'm going to walk you through some of this. And
it's not convoluted, but it's a little complicated. The story has to unfold to truly understand the gravity of it.
There's a timeline. I'm going to tell you a story about politics.
It's story time with Jake.
And at the end of the story, do you feel like you need to take a shower because it feels dirty? Now, I'm not saying anything illegal happened. In fact, according to Seattle Times and according to everybody who's involved in this is not illegal, but it does feel kind of icky when you think about it.
You might even feel like you need to wear a bathing suit in the shower after you hear this story.
Yeah, never nude. All right, listen. So Mayor Bruce Harrell, he had a political consultant. His name is Christian Sinderman, who's apparently a big deal in Washington Democratic politics. And in Democratic circles, he's like the guy. So Bruce Harrell brings him onto his campaign as a consultant, and then this guy transitions over to a not permanent role. He's not a full-time employee, but he does transition over into more time working with Bruce Harrell now as mayor in Seattle.
It's supposed to be a short-term position on the transition team at the cost of $250.
God, you're blowing it.
I'm just trying to supplement the beautiful.
Don't supplement. We're telling a story. All right, so here's the timeline. Bruce Harrell takes office. He asked this guy, Christian Sinderman, to hang around for a bit longer. His initial contract with Bruce Harrell was supposed to be from November 21st, 2021, and it was going to run through January 3rd of 2022. That price for that contract was going to be with a ceiling of $25,000. That's how much he originally was supposed to be paid, at $250 an hour. $25,000 total.
Man, I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, it's good money. Good money. So again, this is not his full-time job. This is just a consulting thing. He comes in, he helps the mayor, address certain things, whatever he's doing politically behind the scenes. This is what he does. So according to Seattle Times, they said it's common for campaign staff to transition into government when somebody gets elected, like in this case when Harold does. But when they do, they typically get hired as full-time government employees. Sinderman's arrangement was different, and he was paid by taxpayers. So he was not a full-time employee, but he is making money, being paid by taxpayers, consulting with the mayor's office on various topics and policies and all that kind of stuff. So according to the mayor's office, Sinderman was paid $50,000 during this transition period. Now, initially, don't forget the timeline, initially he was paid $250 an hour. His contract was for up to $25,000 of service. So now he's being paid. He's asked to stick around for a little bit longer. So now he's getting $50,000 during this transition period. So for the rest of 2022, he's paid an additional $52,000 according to the Seattle Times. So these numbers are all kind of like all over the place. So do your best to follow along. So in 2022, he's paid for the remainder of 2022 $52,000. Again, this is your dollars, tax dollars. In 2023, that number rose to $58,000. In 2024, that number rose to $67,000. Again, your tax dollars. In all, this guy was paid $227,000 over 3 years. Now, he is not a full-time city employee, which means he still works for his other firm, which he works for Northwest Passage Consulting, and they are a campaign consulting firm. They help on all various sorts of campaigns. He helps get lots of people elected. And here's where the Seattle Times talks about how this is not illegal, although it does create kind of a conflict of interest. They talked to Wayne Barnett, who's the executive director for the city's Ethics and Elections Commission, who said, it's different, it's strange, but I couldn't find anything about it that is by definition illegal. Now, that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement, but he says it's technically not illegal, so we're not implying that anything's illegal. But the part that gets tricky is this guy, Christian Sinderman, his firm was hired by Sarah Nelson's challenger in the Seattle City Council race to work with her to get her elected. Now, Sarah Nelson is part of the Seattle City Council. She's going to have conversations with Mayor Bruce Harrell about the future of the city.
Off the record, on the record.
Absolutely. And so here's what she had talked to Seattle Times, and they asked her about this. And she says Sinderman's presence in the mayor's office led her to question whether her, quote, sensitive discussions with Harrell's administration would be leaked to her opponent, particularly as rumors began flying that Sinderman would represent her challenger. And he was. He was hired by Diane Foster. His company, his Northwest Passage, was hired by Diane Foster to the head of a progressive nonprofit organization. And she walloped, apparently, according to Seattle Times, she walloped Sarah Nelson in the August primary. So Nelson said, it just really erodes the ability to govern effectively if we can't candidly hash out solutions to the problems facing the city. Who loses out? The people of Seattle. So when you hear all of that, to me, was something illegal done? Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it's illegal. But are these the kind of like backroom things that people get their hackles up about and their red flags start flying and they go, why not just disclose that this guy works for you in a more official capacity? So those numbers I was reading to you earlier, the $53,000 for 2023, I'm sorry, $58,000, the $67,000 in 2024, kind of this like, it gets more and more and more. They cap it at $67,000. The reason it was capped at $67,000 is that is the threshold limit that you have to cap it at before you have to officially, according to Seattle Times, before you have to officially advertise for competition for that job. So the annual payments were just below the thresholds that would require a city consulting contract to be advertised for competition. So he would have had to put this out to the general public. That would have made a news story. People would have been like, oh, look at this position that pays $67,000. There's people applying for it. Or let's say it was $68,000. $67,000 is the threshold. Why not just be forthcoming with this? Like, why doesn't the mayor's office just be forthcoming? If they know that the threshold is 68 and they're doing it at 67, doesn't that kind of imply that they realize that this is a little bit underhanded?
Absolutely. There's a lot of peculiarities here, and it all stems from this aspect of the story where Sinderman has one foot in the political and governing world and one foot in the consulting world. And oh, by the way, that firm did campaign work involving City Hall. So why is this problematic? Well, as the Seattle Times points out, that City Hall insiders, past and present, have called it unusual and unprecedented, right? But we haven't gone up to that bar of illegal, just sort of strange, and prompts questions about conflict of interest. So why could this be problematic? Let's flesh this out a little bit here. So Sinderman, being a permanent fixture of the Harrell administration, could have potentially benefited from insider knowledge, insider relationships, and then used it to benefit his other role in the private sector,
yeah,
right?
Again, we're not saying that it did.
We're not saying it did. We're just pointing out what could potentially happen with an arrangement.
These aren't even allegations. These are just like why people are cautious to mix these things.
It's why it raises serious ethical concerns.
Yeah.
Being under a no-bid multi-year contract for $250,000 looks like you're sort of sidestepping normal hiring procedures. And
again, with tax dollars. These are not Harrell dollars. These are not campaign dollars. These are tax dollars going to this guy.
And it's just, it all speaks to why this is so important to have a discussion over, because maybe it will prompt some type of much-needed reform, right? And so maybe it's testing the limits of where the law is, but I think it's very good that Seattle Times is drawing attention to it, and it's causing people to have these conversations, because maybe there needs to be a change in guidance, or maybe even a change in the law that this necessitates ultimately.
We'll see what happens. Very interesting. Do you guys think this is wrong? Does it feel like, I'd love from the text line, 888-973-5476. Would this bug you about a candidate if you found out that they were, that they were kind of mixed up with this type of payment, with these types of payments, where it's just below the threshold, that obviously that wasn't by chance. It's not by chance that they paid the guy $67,000 when anything more than $67,000 would have required it to become public knowledge. That's not a coincidence. They did that for a reason. And does that play into who you're going to be voting for?
Do you think it's shady? 888-973-5476.
All right, here's shady. Let's talk about shady. Phillies, Karen. This story was everywhere. In the fourth inning of the Phillies-Marlins game, outfielder Harrison Bader, I don't know anything about the Phillies, so I'm just reading this description, hit a home run into the left field seats. And as happens anytime a ball is hit into the outfield or anywhere in a stadium, people from around it tend to scurry towards the ball. They pick up the ball. The ball sometimes bounces around. Sometimes it goes under many seats. I've seen the ball snatched out of people's hands before. That doesn't appear to be the case in this story. It looked to me like the ball was hit. It hit the ground in front of a row of seats. A guy from probably 10, 15 seats down runs over and ends up with the ball. He then triumphantly returns to his seat, hands it to his 10-year-old son. They're there celebrating his birthday, everybody's happy until he turns around because there's a hand on his shoulder and this white-haired lady, it's bleached white hair. I'm not making an assessment about her age. A white-haired lady comes up behind him, puts her hand on him, and you can see from the stadium camera that's filming this, she's scolding him.
She's irate. She's apoplectic.
She's so upset at him. She's scolding him. And the great thing is, because everybody has cameras out these days, we actually have audio of what happened. Somebody right behind this guy starts filming because they're like, this lady's coming over and yelling at him. She's like getting in his face. And this spread around the world so quickly. You are all listening right now probably already aware of this story because it became such a big thing on social media over the weekend. I was at a wedding. I was telling you guys this. I was at a wedding over the weekend, and it's a beautiful ceremony. The whole thing just very tastefully, very nicely done. Everybody sits down. You guys see that Philly Karen video? It's like this only thing anybody wanted to talk about. But this is what it sounded like. She's got her hand on this guy's shoulder, this dad, and she's telling him that she needs to have that ball back. That's her ball. She has a right to it. Everybody around, instantly everybody knows who's the villain and who's the hero in that case. The dad is the hero. Greg, you're giving me an eye.
I
Tell
disagree.
me why you're giving me an eye.
I disagree, Jake. Unpopular opinion, controversial opinion incoming.
Are you joking right now?
If she is a Karen in this video, then the dad, at the very least, is either a Ken or a Kevin. Whatever the male equivalent is of a Karen for someone who is rude, entitled, or demanding. Okay, baseball is the game of unwritten rules, okay? So don't discuss a no-hitter with the pitcher while it's in progress. Don't admire a home run for too long after you hit it. Not stealing bases with a large lead, so on and so forth. It's the game of unwritten rules. I think whether it's a foul ball or a home run, there's a bubble around where the ball lands. Again, controversial opinion. You might disagree with me.
It's controversial.
I think within about 5 or 6 seats, it's fair game to go after that ball. So this home run lands right at the feet of this lady. This dad hightails it on over from about 15 or 20 seats down, full-on sprint, grabs the ball. He knows he took it from Karen. He knows in his heart of hearts, like, that really wasn't my ball to have, but I was in the right place at the right time, and I sprinted on over. And then he comes back, runs back to his kid, hands it to his kid. He knows he just stole it from this lady, and then he performatively and theatrically begins embracing his son and just, we know we're on the Jumbotron, and everybody's watching us, and we're having a moment. I know I stole it. And then he gets the tap on the shoulder from Karen, and
You're describing everything I just described.
Bewildered. I can't believe that you're upset that I stole this ball from you. And they start having it out. I'm not defending her.
Yes, you are.
I'm not defending him.
Yeah, you are.
If this is a choose your fighter scenario, I defer. I don't choose either of these people in this case.
No, you have to. I'm demanding.
The guy is using his kid as cover.
I'm demanding
for
that
him
you take
stealing the ball.
It's my show. Take a side.
I will just encourage people to watch the video like you did the Zapruder film when JFK was assassinated. Dissect it frame by frame.
You just called this guy the male equivalent of a Karen. So I assume that's a Ken. I don't know that that's the case.
Or a Kevin.
I assume it's a Kevin
whatever.
or a Ken.
Yeah.
So you side with Karen in this case. You think this guy was
wrong
wrong
for
for
side
chasing
with
home
neither.
That's ridiculous.
It's like I side with neither political party these days. I refuse the choice at hand.
Lies.
You're telling me this dad is completely innocent?
Of course he is. This guy's father of the year.
His reaction is so performative.
Here's the cool thing that happened, and this is why I know that you're wrong, because karma stepped in, and everybody who got what they deserved got what they deserved. She is unanimously unliked by the internet. Everybody instantly recognizes.
The internet's always right.
Everybody instantly recognizes a scold. No, she was a scold. You got to admit it.
I agree.
She was a scold.
I agree.
Okay. The dad, who's just trying to de-escalate a situation, you turn around, you're looking into the eyes of somebody who's clearly mentally not altogether there. If she's like having that type of reaction, those are my thoughts. They may not be accurate. Those are my thoughts. He turns around and he sees this woman, and now he's got a choice. Do I argue with a woman in front of my children, or do I just say, hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get crazy to go away. And so he hands her the ball. He reluctantly gives the ball back. I think he's giving a good lesson to his son. Sometimes there's just people in life you cannot deal with. You also don't want them around you. Just go away. And you can see it. He hands her the ball. He just kind of goes, bop, throws his hand up in the air, go away, like get out of my face. Almost like put your hand in your face, like back in the 1990s. Get out of my face. So she gets sent on her way. The Marlins recognize that this guy's a hero. They come and give this son a bunch of stuff, like a big bag full of stuff. They then invite him down to the underneath the stadium after the game. He gets to meet the guy who hit the home run. He gets a signed bat. Marcus Lamont, who owns Camping World, reached out and he's just like, you know what?
Of course he did. It's good publicity.
This guy's going to the World Series with me.
Of
and
course.
He deserves a free RV.
Oh, weird. He just happens to own a bunch of RV shops. Weird. I wonder why he wants to get more publicity for that. Yeah, I'm very cynical in this case.
It's good publicity.
How about the life lesson of when the ball is not hit near your section, you don't run over and steal it from a lady? How about that lesson for his son?
She didn't have it in her hands. She didn't have it in her hands.
It was right at her feet. She's reaching down to pick it up. He practically dives.
Okay, she owns the row
dives in there to get it and then goes, oh, crap, I just stole this, so I need to use my son as cover. I'll theatrically embrace him and then act like
you're saying that you're
bewildered when the lady is upset that I stole this ball from her.
His father doesn't love his son. And this lady owns the entire row of seats in front of her at the Marlins game.
He used the son as a pawn in his dirty game. The only innocent bystander here is the child.
We've actually heard from the child. We can play you audio of him later. He seems very disappointed that he lost the ball, which is kind of funny. All right. A lot more coming up. I guess we're going to just disagree on that one, Greg. But I still like you as a person, even though I think you're ridiculous.
That's dubious.
All right. We got a lot more coming up. Stick around.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We continue to be in recovery mode on northbound I-5.
Watch live on YouTube or the KIRO News Radio app.
Newfangled idea of having to see the people while they're talking.
The office, the gym, wherever you are.
Get on the YouTube channel. The whole gang's there.
KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM, powered by mynorthwest.com.
Hey, we've got Wes Jones here of sellwithwes.com. Wes, what if I'm a home seller, but I've got a unique property? Maybe I have a lot of acreage or a horse pasture or a castle and a moat or a house with some sort of unique design. Can you help with that?
If you've got something like that, I definitely want to hear from you guys. Working with unique properties is one of my favorite things to do in real estate. And the reason why is I get to utilize my full arsenal of marketing techniques. We can do aerial photography, we can do video walkthroughs, we can do actual video, we can do target marketing. But one of the unique things that I can do that other realtors don't is some of the access to other media that I can advertise your properties in. The local blogs, Seattle Times, King 5, all of my properties have been featured on programs like those.
That's Wes Jones of sellwithwes.com. He sold a ton of unique properties and he can sell yours too. Sellwithwes.com, sellwithwes.com, a better way to sell your home.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
we meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
Citizens, since we each upgraded to Xfinity in our homes, the Wi-Fi has been booming. It's fair to say our town has officially become a boomtown.
Mayor, will I be able to drop into multiplayer gaming battles with low lag?
The lag won't be an issue, but your questionable skills may be.
And what if I have hundreds of devices on the Wi-Fi? Purely hypothetical.
Seems like a lot, but sure, hundreds of devices all booming together with the Xfinity Gateway. Yes, friends and neighbors, with Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming.
The Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Now get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best-in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed. All in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract. All with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with X-Fi Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
Cap off your summer with an incredible night at the ballpark.
There it goes! Randy's done it! He has tied it up to the second deck!
The final Mariners fireworks night of the season is coming up this Friday, presented by T-Mobile.
Cal Rawling and the crew are taking on the Angels in a divisional showdown at 7:10. And after the final out, we'll be lighting up the sky with a dazzling post-game display. Fireworks and Mariners baseball. That's two spectacular shows in one unforgettable night.
Holy smokes, what a firecracker! Way back into the upper deck. What a year for the Big Dumper.
Go to Mariners.com to lock in your seats and check out everything on deck, including Fan Appreciation Night, presented by Starbucks Saturday at 6:40, and a Super Mario Mariners cap giveaway thanks to Nintendo Sunday at 1:10. Plus, don't miss the final homestand of the regular season, featuring a matchup against Shohei Ohtani and the defending World Series champion Dodgers, September 26th through 28th. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
It's G. Scott. School's back and it's rally time. Time to rally around the campaign to keep kids healthy. Kids need fruits and veggies to grow strong and stay focused, but for families on tight budgets, that's not easy. Safeway and the Washington State Department of Health have teamed up and need your help. Every dollar you donate at Safeway checkout helps families in need. And with SNAP Produce Match, they get twice as much for the dollar. Next time you're at Safeway, please donate to keep kids healthy.
Bathfitter just hit a big milestone, 42,000 installations in Western Washington. Celebrate with payments as low as $125 a month. A beautiful bath installed in one day, no mess, and a lifetime warranty. Call Bathfitter or visit bathfitternw.com today.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. We now know how much it'll cost and how long it'll take to repair the White River Bridge on State Route 410. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has more.
When a semi-truck hit the White River Bridge August 18th, the bridge suffered somewhere between $5 and $6 million in damage. Crews will work on repairs 7 days a week, and the bridge is expected to reopen by November 15th. Here's Governor Bob Ferguson.
Of course, there are no guarantees. It is weather dependent. There are materials. There's a lot that has to come together. But we wanted to lay out what we feel is the approximate timeline.
The DOT had hoped to open one lane to alternating traffic later this month, but engineers said that would only push back the full reopening closer to the end of the year. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
And we turn now to the closing bell reports. Microsoft's cutting another 42 jobs at its Redmond campus. This brings the total number of Washington-based layoffs to more than 3,200 since May, part of a trend of job cuts in the tech sector this year. Oracle, Amazon, Salesforce, they have all trimmed staff in the Seattle area as they are investing more in artificial intelligence. Meantime, Americans are feeling much less confident in finding a new job. CBS's Jason Brooks reports.
The New York Federal Reserve's monthly Consumer Expectations Survey revealed that labor market expectations dropped to the lowest level in the survey's history. Less than 45% of consumers that were surveyed believed they could find another job if they lost their current one, a substantial decline from the previous month and following a series of anemic monthly jobs gains this summer.
Latest jobs report shows the U.S. economy added just 22,000 jobs in August. The unemployment rate also ticked up to 4.3%. That is the highest it's been in nearly 4 years. And your billion-dollar dream is over after two Powerball winners in Texas and Missouri matched all 6 numbers following Saturday's draw. They will split the nearly $1.8 billion prize pot, the second largest in Powerball history. At the close today on Wall Street, Dow up 114, S&P ahead by 13, NASDAQ gained 98 points. Turning now to the real-time traffic desk, here's Nate Connors.
Thanks, Aaron. Tacoma to Olympia has improved to a solid hour drive now. We were up to an hour and 20 minutes there with a couple big backups along the way. We've still got our usual backups, South 5 through JBLM, and then scattered backups from Nisqually into Lacey, where we still have this long-term collision in Marvin Road. It's blocking the very end of the on-ramp, causing an early merge and traffic jams up at the scene. Now, Martin Way is a good alternate route to get past this Lacey backup. That's our only collision at the moment. We are seeing building volumes South 405 between Factoria into Renton. Bellevue to Renton is a 15-minute trip. South 5 heading into Seattle, starting to crowd up from the Ship Canal Bridge to I-90. Linwood to Seattle, you're pushing 20 minutes. And North 5 is thick at the West Seattle Bridge. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Thank you, Nate. Your forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A bit cloudy today with some sun breaks. Highs in the mid-70s. Some showers tomorrow morning. Right now, 72 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
All right, welcome back to the show. Once in a generation do you get a story that's as hot button of an issue as Philly's Karen, which happened over the weekend. It's all anybody wanted to talk about at the wedding that I was at Saturday night, and it's all anybody wants to talk about now. Last segment, Greg told us that he thinks that the dad in this case was absolutely in the wrong and he was horrible for running over. Look, it's on national TV
As
right
was
now.
the Karen. The Karen was also in the wrong.
You said the dad is horrible for running over and getting the ball in the stadium, that he stole it from her,
Both
which
are
I
wrong.
think is crazy. I told you had to pick a side. You said you refused to pick a side.
That's true.
I am definitely on the side of this guy. I think he's, I think he's father of the year for what he did. Aaron Granillo comes in. Aaron,
Watch him hug his kid here. It's being shown on the news.
Okay, and then look at Karen show
I'm so
up.
shocked Karen showed up. Weird. I didn't think you were coming over here. I'm going to shake my fists with fear and anxiety that I can't believe you came over and interrupted me. He knew he was about to get reprimanded.
It's not like he grabbed it out of her hands. The ball was on the ground still. It is fair game.
Can I just say this? Jake and I were going toe-to-toe last segment, and I was like mano a mano. All of a sudden, Jake ropes in two other players to go all like Mao's China struggle session with me on this to try to prove me wrong.
Jason
Rantz, Aaron Granillo.
Jason Rantz, also from Seattle Red 770, joins us right now for the Jason Rantz Show. Jason, you were in here to talk about something else completely.
Something important.
I'm now roping you into this conversation because...
Without knowing what my position is, by the way.
Yeah, I thought that would be fun. So...
to be clear, Greg is wrong. Okay. just so we're all on the same page.
Did you see the story over the weekend, obviously?
Who didn't?
Who didn't? What was your absolute first reaction as soon as you saw it? What did you think?
Internet, do your worst. Find out who she is. Call her out.
Shame her.
Shame her to the degree that this doesn't happen again.
It shouldn't happen again.
We're getting too many of these stories, right? We had that CEO a week and a half ago. We had the Coldplay. Like, dear God, folks, you know you're being filmed. So why are you acting like total jerks?
As did the dad. The dad
in front
knew
of
he was
everyone.
being filmed.
I don't completely disagree with
Thank
that.
you.
Perhaps I do think he's getting enough shame for the way he reacted when the crazy lady went up to him. The weird look on his face.
No, it's
and the
interesting.
Whoa.
Yes. Here's the thing. Was it a little theatrical? Yes.
Now we're
He
making
could just
some
be
progress.
a naturally
Now we're making
theatrical
progress.
person.
No, but think about this. He's in the stadium. He's already in a very heightened situation. He's just run across 20 rows of empty seating to get to this ball, which was in the middle of nowhere and was totally fair game for anybody to grab. She doesn't own the row in front of her, so clearly she has no. She doesn't own the row, so she doesn't just get the ball because it was hit near her seat. But whatever. He then gets the ball back to his kid. He feels like a conquering hero. Any father would feel the same way. And then you have this scoldy, ice-cold hand on your shoulder. I think my reaction would be kind of big, too. I would go, huh?
It's the long arm of justice.
I totally agree. The long arm.
I don't want to defend the Karen.
Yes, you do. I can tell.
You do.
We all can tell.
Yes.
You're
Why can't
clearly
both be
defending
wrong?
her.
Often both parties are wrong.
Because
Often
one
both
isn't wrong. That's why. Because this is objective. I think anyone looking at this will objectively say she was in the wrong. He was the hero father. Father of the year.
Let's start here. Is he able to cross 20 rows of seats, which is what it looks like he crossed?
I think it's unseemly to do so.
You think it's unseemly?
Ungentlemanly.
Aaron,
and
what would you do?
Hold on.
I would go, oh, son, we came here to get a ball, but look, it landed right in front of her.
No, you wouldn't,
And she
Greg.
has every right
No,
to.
you
Yes,
would.
I would.
Then bad dad right there. Bad dad. You're supposed.
Okay,
you
here's
should have
what the
been
dad is
willing
supposed to do.
to throw
It's a-
her over.
Yeah, it's a
in order to
doggy
get
dog
the ball.
world. See that lady over there? She thinks it's her right. I'm taking it for you, son. You got to take while the
Hold on a
taking's
second.
good in
Yes,
life.
that is a great lesson to be
that's a
learned,
terrible
actually.
lesson. I'm not a cutthroat guy like
Greg,
that.
hold on, Greg. There's nobody who knows baseball more in this studio right now than Aaron Grunello.
I agree.
Is this outside the bounds of...
No.
Okay, tell us why
Absolutely
this is
not.
okay.
I've seen much worse at baseball games. You see guys jumping over each other to get balls all the time. The ball was not in the woman's hands. She does not have automatic right to that ball if it lands 2 or 3 seats next to her versus the guy 20 seats over.
I've always been
chase
upset
after the
when I
ball.
see this at games, though, and that is like someone might be a little slower to react through no fault of their own or whatever, and she was clearly reaching down first, but he's on a full-on sprint, practically dives to get it, and so I don't even know, her hand might even have touched it, and then he rips it away
There
and
is
then
no
runs it back
evidence
to
of
his
that.
kid.
There's no evidence that she made any contact.
Look
but
at the
number
video.
two,
I'm telling you, frame by frame.
What are the rules?
What are the
of
rules?
this?
Don't be a
These
jerk.
are unwritten rules.
Well, the
Yes.
rule is it's anyone's ball.
This is
The
true.
person who gets
Yes.
the ball first gets the ball. That's how this works.
But I think the unwritten rule of Tomlin etiquette is just don't be a J-hole. And I feel like he was being one of those in that moment. Like,
for his kid.
No, the kid was cover. The kid was cover for him. You could tell the kid is like, what's happening here? I don't even really want this.
No,
ball."
the kid-
he didn't
no,
even
the kid
celebrate.
was
The
looking at
second
it
he got the
in
ball,
awe.
the kid did not
Greg,
even
do
celebrate.
you think he would have done that if his kid was not there?
100%.
No.
1,000%.
No.
Look at
way.
Again, look at the performative nature of what he did. He is acting the whole time. Acting shocked that I couldn't suspect why you'd be angry at this, and then acting when he embraces his kid, he gets this grin like, this has been the fulfillment of all our dreams, son. And I'm like, you are acting.
Because
you are
it is the
acting.
fulfillment of
Greg
dreams.
is mad that
it doesn't come
someone
across as
is
genuine
a
to me.
better father than he is.
If I was if I was watching the Mariners, and they hit a home run, and they're in a visiting city,
they'd
they're
have to hit a
in
home
Miami, right? Didn't this game happen?
I
in
also
Miami?
think it's pathetic to care so much about getting a ball.
He's
Get a
in
life,
Miami.
man.
He's standing there with this kid. It's his birthday. It's like God reached out and said, "I want you to have this
Was it his
ball."
birthday?
It was his birthday.
I missed that part, Greg.
Oh, gosh.
And yet Greg somehow identifies with Philly's Karen and says, "You know what, Philly's Karen, you deserve to have that ball. That is your ball. You should have it, Karen." It's crazy to me how much the world disagrees with you, and still you're
why
saying
can't
you
we
can't.
let 1,000 flowers bloom here? Sophia, can we get your opinion on this? I need some female energy. I'm just guessing maybe you defend my perspective. No,
Well,
you don't. Do you?
Well, no, I'm actually afraid of the pitchforks, but I don't like the dad very much energy wise. Like
Thank
I did not feel like, I don't think she's in the right. I think she's wacko, but I also think that like he isn't father of the year. I don't think
That's all
this is
I'm
also a
saying.
valuable lesson to be teaching your child that, hey, if you react in a certain way, you might go viral on the internet.
I think the father should turn this into an opportunity to write a book, to get
100%.
a reality show on Bravo, 100%. And I think we'll all be better off because of it.
TikTok channel, yep.
He has got. They've
They
gotten
could,
a lot
yeah.
of rewards for anybody who missed it last segment. We talked about it. The Marlins showed up with a gift bag. They gave a bunch of baseballs and a bunch of swag to the kid, which was great.
He played the game within the game very well. I'll tip my hat to him for that.
You can watch. Here's the thing: you can watch the video that circulated right after as well of this woman who's sitting in the stands and with somebody else in the crowd, because everybody instantly recognized that she was a scold. We're all sick of scolds. So much we're sick of scolds. Good Lord. Somebody nearby starts kind of jawing at her. She's like exchanging words. So she gets up out of her seat, holding that baseball, and she goes over and she puts a finger in that guy's face, and she's now screaming at that guy. Here's what was really interesting to me. Did you guys notice she seemed to be there with a fella? I assume it was her husband. I don't know, but I can't imagine anybody being with her who's not legally tied to her. So he's sitting there next to her. He has now watched his wife go march over and steal a baseball from a child, and now he's
That's
watching. Yeah, people are into weird stuff. And then he watches her go over and get into like a fight with this other guy, and he just sits there the entire time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything. And I was shocked because if my wife, I was talking about this with my wife over the weekend. I was like, what would you think that I would do if she's like, well, you wouldn't let me go and like start fighting with somebody else in a stadium. And yet this guy just sits there, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about their relationship. Also, she's like holding onto this baseball iron tight, and you could take that analogy for what it's worth.
In summation, he should have let her have the home run ball, and she should have let him have the home run ball.
So no one gets the ball? How'd that work out?
Yeah.
It's a wash.
No, that's
not a wash. It went to her first.
You're so frustrating. I know what you're doing. I don't
know
believe
what I'm doing.
I don't believe that you actually believe these things. Do you actually believe these things that you're saying? Do you really
that
believe?
I don't like the Karen or the Ken in this scenario? Yeah, I believe that.
Okay. Aaron Granella, thank you for coming in. Jason Rance, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Let us know on the text line, 888-973-5476. We've gotten like 1,000 texts, and I cannot believe how many of you agree with Greg. I think you're insane, but we do appreciate you listening, so keep it up. All right, we'll be right back.
The Closing Bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital Common Sense Lending.
The Northwest's trusted news source, KIRO Newsradio.
Police in Federal Way are investigating what appears to be a car explosion.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is live from the neighborhood.
I can't tell you enough how crazy this scene is here.
Coverage you depend on.
A massive police presence in Kent.
From voices you know and trust.
We have an active fire inside one of these buildings here.
KIRO News Radio. On 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
One thing you can always count on is a change in the weather. Time to protect your home now with the help from the pros at Integrity Roofing and Construction. With years of experience in roofing and restoration, their skilled team delivers exceptional craftsmanship, whether it's a simple roof repair or a full renovation. Integrity offers free estimates, and their customer satisfaction speaks for itself. Don't wait until the next storm hits. Schedule your free estimate today. Call Integrity at 206-202-ROOF or visit online at integrityrc.com. That's integrityrc.com.
Hey, it's John Curley with some great news. If your home's heating or cooling is uneven, noisy, or expensive, listen up. The Quilt Ductless Heat Pump System from Home Comfort Alliance is changing the game. It gives you room-by-room control and next-gen efficiency, so you're only heating where you need it. That means real comfort and real savings, and every quilt system qualifies for max tax credits. Trusted for 50 years. Call the comfort people today at homecomfortalliance.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600.
Doctors King and Kopstein from K2 Vision.
If you're over 50 and you've been diagnosed with a cataract, or your vision is changing as you're developing an early cataract, you could be a perfect candidate for K2 Vision RLE.
It's inevitable. At some point, typically in your 60s or 70s, you'll have a dysfunctional lens that eventually becomes a cataract. To restore your vision, you will someday need a procedure such as refractive lens exchange.
The question is, are you done with glasses? Do you want to spend your good, active years hassling with changing prescriptions prescriptions and needing readers?
K2 Vision RLE can give you great vision now, permanently, and you'll never develop that cataract. The procedure is quick and painless, and our state-of-the-art custom lens technologies give highly predictable outcomes.
K2 Vision surgeons have performed nearly 100,000 procedures. We know when RLE is right for you.
Find out. Schedule a free Zoom consultation at k2visionrle.com.
K2 Vision RLE. No glasses, no contacts, no readers.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers Weight Loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at 4hers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At 4hers.com/radio, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored to you. These include oral medication kits and compounded GLP-1 injections, the same active ingredient that's in Ozempic and Wegovy. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits starts at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help from Hers. Get started at 4hers.com/radio to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's 4hers.com/radio. FORHERS.com/radio.
Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Northwest homeowners, when it comes to your roof, you need a name you can trust. Techline Roofing has proudly served the Seattle area for years, delivering exceptional results and lasting security. Choose Techline Roofing. Your trust is our foundation. Trust Techline.
Do you know someone whose everyday actions make Washington stronger? Someone whose care, service, and connection lift us all. They're Washington's community champions, and WSECU wants to celebrate them this fall. Steve Rabel here. WSECU has been serving Washington since 1957, and they're the only credit union named Forbes' Best Credit Union 5 years running. Now it's your turn to get in the game. Nominate your Washington Community Champion today at mynorthwest.com/champion.
All right, welcome back to the show. This was a really interesting article. Sophia found this. Sophia's filling in today for Laura, who's gone today. Sophia, great job today, by the way. There are a bunch of colleges around the country who are allowing, and I guess this is federal law, that you have to allow, if somebody actually has a need for it, service animals to accompany students onto campus. So this presents kind of an interesting question when you have people moving into a dorm situation where they might have to share a room with somebody or a hallway with people, and they also come with an animal in tow. Sophia, you actually had this happen. Was this at your college that this happened?
Yeah.
Was this a roommate of yours, or what was this?
No, and yeah, it's not really the concern. I think a lot of it isn't the service animals, but people who have emotional support animals.
Yeah, and there's a distinction to be made here, because when I think of a service animal, I think maybe somebody who's blind or something, and they need a dog to help get there, or someone who's been through an accident or something and needs a service dog for there on a plane or something. Emotional support, though, is far more subjective.
Yes,
as the way I understand it, and more universities and campuses and institutes of learning are allowing free reign for sort of these emotional support dogs on campus.
Yes, and typically you do need to be able to have like a mental health professional that signs off and says, hey, this person needs this animal. But like a lot of things, it is a system that can often get abused. And when I was in college, a girl moved in midway through the year with a dog. And this dog was like a puppy. It did not feel like an animal that had lived in her home for a while. My RA was allergic to dogs, and they didn't even tell her that this was happening and moving in, which you'd think, hey, if you're going to move a dog, and maybe don't put it on the RA that has an allergy to dogs floor. And then she would just leave her dog constantly. She lived right across the hall from me, and she would knock on the door and be like, hey, we're going to go to a frat party. Can anyone watch my dog? And it started to feel like, okay,
this is just a pet.
This is not like
pet. And
it was starting to become a little bit of an inconvenience for everyone who lived around her, because we were like, okay, this is a little different.
Do you guys think that this is just kind of made up? Like emotional support service dogs, totally. I totally understand. There's people out there who have dogs that are specially trained to recognize when somebody's about to have a stroke. I see these videos all the time where a dog will, come into a room and the person, and they'll nip at the person's hip, and then they sit down and then they have a stroke. It's unbelievable what these animals can sense because they have these extra senses. But emotional support, like you guys are saying, it feels like a catch-all. Like, especially in college. Everybody's emotional in college. Everybody could have one of these.
And the concept is being abused and going too far, right? So you might think this is prejudice, but I believe a dog's place is in the home. I can't tell you how many parties I've been to, how many malls I've been to, where I love our canine brethren. I just see them everywhere and in every circumstance. And we're at a party here. We're having a cocktail, and I gotta worry about Fido barking or nipping at someone's legs. Why isn't your dog at home? Leave your dog at home.
I was in a Target the other day, and I'm walking through the aisles with my kids who are back to school shopping. And somebody walks through with a freaking Malamute or something, like a giant dog, a huge dog. And I see a Target worker uncomfortably walk over and is like, yeah, you can't have that dog in here. And the guy was like, it was him and his wife.
Yes.
And the guy was like, yeah, this is my emotional support dog. And the guy goes, yeah, you can't have that dog in here. It was a horse.
Yeah. Did you not hear me?
And my 5-year-old who's sitting there, who's dwarfed by the size of this giant, it looked like the dog from The Sandlot. It was ridiculous. But people do this, and they're emboldened to bring them into spaces that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is some validity to the emotional support animal argument because there are a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, depression, and animals have been known to help with that. However, I think the issue are people being like, well, this is my emotional support pet, and then abusing the system and taking them everywhere with you, when in reality, pets aren't meant to be everywhere in the world, especially if they're not trained.
In some cases, what about the emotional annoyance it causes with everyone around you, like you talked about?
Right.
I mean, dogs bark, they make your dorm room smell,
Right.
they have to be taken care of, they
and the
poo and
medical
pee.
concern, and my RA, she moved in halfway through the year because she got kicked out of her other dorm for unknown reasons, and they didn't give her a heads up, and they were just like, this dog's moving on to your floor, it's an emotional support animal, and you have someone who has an allergy, a real serious issue, being exposed to that.
And I just want to qualify, very pro dog here. Your dog is the greatest thing ever. I want to pet it. I want you to love it.
No, I don't think that's
I
the
just
case.
think we need to rein it in a little bit with how ubiquitous they've become everywhere in culture. Just keep them at home, run them outside, take them on a walk, the mall, the dorm room, the party.
I saw a guy with emotional support snake once.
Are you talking about the reptile man?
No, not the reptile man. No, like a guy who walked around and used to ride public transit. In fact, we had him on when I was producing for Dory. We had him in the studio because it was kind of news. This guy's running around with a boa constrictor on his neck, saying that he needs it for emotional support. And I don't want to sit next to a snake on a bus. It's one of the reasons I don't ride a bus is because I'm worried about snakes. That's one of the, it's very low on the list. But,
right.
All right. We got a lot more coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We continue to be in recovery mode on northbound I-5.
Watch live on YouTube or the KIRO News Radio app.
Newfangled idea of having to see the people while they're talking.
The office, the gym, wherever you are.
Get on the YouTube channel. The whole gang's there.
KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM, powered by MyNorthwest.com.
Are you happy with how you're feeling these days? Are you slowing down physically or mentally? Ever wonder what your life will be like 10 to 15 years from now? Most of us don't really know how we're aging or if we can even do anything about it. But here's the truth. Knowledge is power, and that's exactly where we start at Longevity Medical Clinic. We run advanced diagnostics to find out what's really going on inside your body, and then we create a personalized hormone and health optimization plan designed specifically to help you live better starting now. Our patients are often amazed by what they discover in their blood work, and even more amazed at how quickly they start to feel like themselves again. This isn't guesswork, it's science, it's personal, and it works. Take the first step today. Call 866-86-YOUNG or visit lmclinic.com to schedule your free consultation. Longevity Medical Clinic. Feel better today and every day after that.
I'm Captain John Kelly with the Salvation Army. The Seattle Addiction Recovery Program helps men break free from addiction at no cost to them through physical, emotional, and spiritual growth. That's why our success rate is nearly 4 times the national average. While participants pay nothing, it costs the Salvation Army about $10,000 to help one person graduate into recovery. Want to help? Join us for the Red Shield Classic Golf Tournament, September 11th at Echo Falls. Register or donate at tsaredshieldclassic.org. Together, we can change lives.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in Los Angeles. Camilo Montoya Galvez reports it's another victory for President Trump at the High Court.
We have seen in Southern California over the past months really controversial immigration raids that advocates say have been indiscriminate in nature. The Supreme Court is allowing those operations for the time being to continue.
Flor Menendez represents car wash workers in Los Angeles.
81 car washes have been raided, many of them more than 3 or 4 times. Approximately 247 car wash workers have disappeared from our communities. This is just unacceptable.
The governor's office in Illinois says it's waiting for formal word from the White House about the federal deployment in Chicago. CBS's Scott McFarland reports it's a political tightrope for the administration.
And National Guard troops has served political interests for the president, but also it allows him to continue to argue that his administration is taking a hard line and tough stance against crime, which has served him well politically. But it also in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles, where this has been attempted before, the deployment of the National Guard has served to galvanize people on behalf of the local leaders in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles.
The Trump administration's asking the Supreme Court for an emergency order to keep frozen billions of dollars in foreign aid. CBS News political reporter Melissa Quinn.
At least one Republican in the Senate, Susan Collins, who is head of the Senate Appropriations Committee, says this attempt to unilaterally claw back this $4 billion in funding is not legal. Congress has the power of the purse under the Constitution, and the president does not get to just not spend money that Congress has already approved.
In the Middle East, the Israeli prime minister has warned Palestinians in Gaza City to leave now as Israel ramps up its offensive. Earlier today, there was an attack in Israel, as the BBC's Wyrie Davies reports.
Today's attack at an intersection to the north of Jerusalem was one of the worst attacks we've seen in Israel for some while. In all, 6 people have been killed. Many more have been seriously injured when 2 armed Palestinians, a man of 20 and another of 21, came into Israel from the occupied West Bank. They boarded a bus and they opened fire with guns.
On Wall Street today, stocks finished higher. The Dow Jones Industrials were up 114 points. The Nasdaq 98 points higher. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit Progressive.com today.
Coming up, a shocking number of guns and ammo taken from a 13-year-old. That's after Nate Connors at the traffic desk.
This report brought to you by Global Credit Union. It starts you up north, South 5 at State Route 526 in Everett. A collision blocks the HOV lane. Just a brief backup at the scene. It's eastbound 526 where our daily Boeing shift change is underway, and there's a solid backup leaving the plant over to I-5. Over in the city of Snohomish, roadwork has both directions of Highway 2 at a full stop just north of 88th Street. Now, you're moving, but you're in about a 1-mile parking lot as you approach the roadwork in both directions. Heading into Seattle, South 5 thickens up at the Ship Canal Bridge down to I-90. Linwood to Seattle plan on 20 minutes. Southbound 99 on the 1st Avenue South Bridge. Your right lane is blocked by a driver with a flat tire. Southbound 167 is now crowded through Algona and Pacific. Tacoma to Olympia has improved. We're down to just 45 minutes. Global Credit Union, where members enjoy no-fee accounts and early payday with direct deposit. Learn more at globalcu.org. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. A 13-year-old in Pierce County is suspected of planning a mass shooting after deputies say they found an arsenal of weapons and ammo in that boy's home. KIRO News Radio's Corwin Hake reports the boy apparently idolized school shooters.
At the Parkland home where the boy lived with his parents, police seized dozens of guns, many 3D printed, box after box of ammo, and according to Pierce County Deputy Carly Capetto, some disturbing notebook entries.
It appeared that he was very infatuated with school shooters.
His social media posts tipped off police. Capetto says all evidence indicates he planned a mass shooting, but that he did not specify a school or any other target. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
And prosecutors have not yet decided whether the parents will face charges. Police in Edmond say a 48-year-old man was booked on 2 counts of attempted murder after using a metal coat rack to attack 2 massage spa employees. Police Commander Josh McClure tells us this happened yesterday at Ava Spa Massage on Edmonds Way.
The attack continued against both of the victims for a significant period of time.
The 2 female employees were hospitalized with both head and neck injuries. In Bremerton, a man posing as a police officer is now in jail. Police say a local security guard arrived at an active scene, came with blue flashing lights, a badge, and tactical gear labeled police and SWAT. Background check shows that man could not even legally have a gun. He was arrested on criminal impersonation and gun-related charges. State lawmakers say she will try again to ban cell phones all day inside classrooms. Republican Representative Stephanie McClintock.
My philosophy is put it away, not take it away.
She tells the Jason Rant Show on Seattle Red this will be her 3rd attempt to get this bill passed. Some parents say kids need their phones in case of emergencies. Weather forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Mix of clouds and sunshine today, but staying dry. Tomorrow could see some early morning rain. Right now, 73 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
All right, welcome back to the show. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go. Tons of stuff to get to. There's no way we're going to get to all of it, so let's just dive right in. I want to start with a personal story, and I'm soliciting your feedback. maybe I'm being overly sensitive to this. It's possible. It's not really my style. I'm usually like a pretty even-keeled guy. I went to a wedding this weekend. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. Very tasteful, very nicely done. I love the couple who got married. They're great. I've literally known the groom in this pairing since he was a year old, and great guy, great family. They're like family to me. His parents are like an aunt and uncle. They're not technically, but they're like it. So he gets married this weekend, and his lovely bride, I wish them all the best. I wish them 100 years of happiness together, so they would live a long, long time. So they have this wedding, and we get the invite, which is not a surprise. I'm sure we're going to get invited to the thing. But the invite says, please leave your kids at home. No kids allowed. This is a thing now that people do. I don't know if this has always been a thing that people do, but I feel like it's in the last 20 years, maybe the last 15, 20 years that people have been doing no kids. When I was younger, before I had kids, this was something that I wouldn't have batted an eye at it. I would have said, yeah, that makes total sense. Weddings are to get down, to party. Super fun. It's about the young, next generation coming through, starting a family. But then as I get older, and now that I have 4 kids and finding babysitters is a headache, I was not happy about it.
Perturbed.
I was perturbed. Yeah. But because I'm a saint, obviously.
Clearly.
My wife and I said, okay, yeah, they say no kids. We're not going to bring kids.
We'll play ball.
We'll play ball. So we show up at the wedding, and we arrive, and I see, the first thing I see is a little wagon, like parents pulling the kids in wagon. And I go, huh. Look at those kids. I point them out to my wife like they're aliens or something. I said, look at those things. And she goes, yeah, those are kids. What are they doing here? And I said, yeah, great question. What are they doing here? Because again, we just like figured out how to hand our kids off. Like 4 little boys. Good luck finding a babysitter who wants to take on 4 crazy loud little boys. But we did. So we arrive, we see kids, and my first thought is, well, they're probably part of the wedding. They're like whatever kids do in weddings.
Ring bearer. Flower girl.
Making
emotional support kid.
Drinks at the bar. Yeah, emotional support kid. So, okay, so we write those kids off. We say, all right, they must be part of the wedding. And then we get a little further into the venue, and we're looking around, and I swear to you, every single person that I know, I've known these people for a long time, all of their kids have come to this wedding. All of them.
Oh.
And my wife and I are sitting there like, were we the only ones who were told not to bring our kids because they're loud? And I actually went over to a friend of mine who has 2 little kids who were there. And I says to him, his name is Josh. I won't say his last name because I want to dog him on the radio. Nice guy. Lovely family. Just a wonderful, wonderful wife, wonderful kids. He's doing it right. I says, Josh, I see you've got your kids here. My kids are not here. What are you doing? And were they allowed to come? Were you not told not to bring your kids? And he goes, nah, we just couldn't find a sitter. And so we just brought him. And I was like, I didn't know that was an option, to just not find a sitter and you yet still show up. And then I see more kids, and I see more kids, and I see more kids. And as it turns out, they did ask everybody not to bring kids. And I think everybody just kind of decided to ignore that.
There's a lot of moving parts here.
There's a lot of moving parts here. And it made me think, like, is it okay? Is it okay to just say no kids at weddings?
And was it a suggestion or a rule? And are you skirting the rule?
I took it as a rule.
Well, you're being respectful.
I'm a respectful person.
Even if it is just a request, you take it to heart and say,
I mean,
we'll
like, they're not
abide by
outlawing
that.
kids. I'm sure they wouldn't, turn us away at the door, clearly, if we would have shown up with our kids. But my wife and I, we worked extra hard to make sure that we did not show up with kids, which means we also couldn't stay as long and enjoy the festivities because we had to get home to, little kids. And so my question to you is, 1, how are we feeling about the no kids rule at weddings? And 2, I guess the only answer is all those other people are jerks for bringing their kids and ignoring the bride and groom, right?
Yeah.
Or was I incorrect in... Sophia, what do you think about this?
No, I would have loved to have seen how the bride and groom reacted, because I feel like this is a very contested topic that I see in wedding culture right now. It's like, hey, if we say no kids, like, respect that. Because now I'm thinking, how did that affect seating count?
For sure.
Food, buffet, yeah.
How many I mean, I don't know
Doesn't
what the
affect
layout
the
of
bar too much, but everything else.
In most
well,
cases.
you'd hope not. But I don't know what the layout of the wedding is, but I don't know if I was a wedding planner behind the scenes, I would be freaking out if I saw 1, 2, 3, 4 kids. Those are extra heads on top of the idea.
For sure. Yeah.
Unless they all reached out ahead of time and said, hey, we can't find a sitter, and the bride and groom were just okay with it.
I was recently at a 50th wedding anniversary, and the same rule applied, and it was no kids. And we abided by that, got a sitter. There were a few kids there, but it was immediate family. I think the main concern was with the sheer amount of people that are here, if adding kids to it, we're going to double the amount of individuals. We'll need more space. We'll need more money. And so I totally understood it. And at the same time, so yeah, it begs the question, when people request no kids, is it because they want it as an adult-only mature space, or do they want it this way because of cost constrictions and so on and so forth? Either way,
I think it's less about cost. I think there's an idea.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, I think there's an idea that the vibe of the wedding will be more of like a raucous party if everybody's free and easy to just like let it loose. You're not worried about offending little kids. I mean, not like people would offend little kids if they drank a lot, but you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
you're not worried about stepping on a 5-year-old who's out there doing the dance or whatever. And so, but on the other side of it is, it's really adorable to see little kids dressed up in their Sunday best at a wedding.
Yeah.
Going and like doing stuff that little kids, they're silly at weddings, and they add a sense of lightness, and it's nice.
This is a hot topic of discussion in terms of what spaces kids should be promoted in. So I've basically attended church services my whole life. And you know the whole thing about the crying baby in the service, or the unruly kids in the service.
Yeah.
And that churches have cry rooms, right? You go to the cry room.
Yeah.
If they're making a ruckus through no fault of their own, they're at these tender ages and they're
That's
a little
what babies
unruly.
do.
You put them off to the side, and you're not saying, we think you're horrible, but we are saying you're taking away from the experience of the rest of the congregation who's either trying to worship or just hear the pastor talk, right?
Yes.
So reasonable to remove them from the equation in that case. Either way, so my wife's done a lot of catering gigs in her life, so she's worked a ton of parties. I've played music at corporate gigs, weddings, lots of private parties over the years. And I'm kind of the general opinion, if you're throwing the party, you get to set the rules and guidelines for other people attending the party. I think more of an outrage is to say, oh, no kids? Well, it's too hard and onerous for me to find a sitter. I'm just going to bring them anyway.
That's what everybody
I think that's
did.
like the ultimate sign of disrespect.
That's what everybody did.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
just
think
showed
that's
up with
very
kids
lame.
And say, wow,
and if you're saying lots of people did that, that makes me think this is kind of a cultural thing of like, where does that stem from? Like, what's the root cause of just saying, oh, I know it's your party, I know you've requested this, but I'm doing it anyway? Is that like an entitlement thing?
It's like somebody
is that
showing up with a service
don't
animal.
infringe upon my happiness?
I'm not saying kids are animals, but you know what I mean? They just say...
No, they could be a burden at
Thomas
times.
in Tacoma just texted us. He says, we're planning a wedding right now, and the venue only holds 100 people, so no kids are invited. The price of venues is ridiculous, and to get a bigger one with triple the price would be very expensive. Yeah. So that's obviously there's a lot of people
inflationary
doing
concerns. Yeah, right, exactly.
This is another one from 206 who is complimenting me, saying, these other people were inconsiderate. You did right. I would feel very perturbed. Thank you, 206.
There's that thesaurus word again.
Yes, thank you very much. Somebody else texted in and said, it does not matter how parents feel, no sitter. One of couple goes or both stay home. Raucous party. So I think what they're saying here is that it's your responsibility to live up to what the invitation says. If it says no kids, they would probably rather have just one of you as a couple show up or not at all, rather than bring your kids. And again, I'm not singling out. I'm going to text this. I shouldn't have named my buddy Josh. I shouldn't have named him.
You've already said too much.
I've already said it. I don't want to say
Josh.
I don't want to say about Josh. Josh is a great guy. I like Josh. In fact, I'm going to text him and say, I'm really not trying to signal you out. But
now you've gone viral.
But now a lot of people are saying like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have shown up with these kids. And I'm not saying this is Josh, not just Josh. There was a lot of other people who showed up with kids. In fact, I saw basically every single person that I knew at that wedding who had kids, they were there with them. And I started to think to myself, is this a conspiracy? Did they orchestrate this entire thing just to keep my kids out of the wedding because they know that my kids are so loud? And Mike, they would have been quiet for the ceremony, but they also would have been fun at the party.
Would have been the life of the party, let's be honest.
They would have been the life because
Thank you.
kids should be seen and not heard. We're not raising our kids to be the life of the party. Our kids will have a slice of pizza from the kids' table, and they will stay off to the side. It's not their day.
Wow.
Well,
it's not
see,
their
the
day.
thing is, you said kids' table, right? Which creates the idea that there is I think weddings work with children when kids are expected, rather than having a wedding that is for adults. I don't think weddings are fun for kids if it's not I will say this. It's kind of funny for me to reflect on it. My parents were never pro-sitter. I was the kid that was at every adult situation. I was brought to all the weddings, brought to the business dinners, sitting in the corner. And I was taught not to be loud, not to be rowdy. But I will say it was boring at times as a child to be put into these situations where clearly you weren't expected in any capacity.
But you know what? That's actually also good parenting. They're teaching you that the good thing to be is quiet.
Well, no, Jake, you are spot on. This is slightly related, but not really. And that is the concept of forcing our kids to be in situations and environments where they have to be quiet or sit still or recognize this situation calls for a little bit of respect and deference.
One of the reasons church is great.
Instead, what we immediately do is give them their little glowing rectangle pacifier and say, go out of sight, out of mind, and play with that game on that smartphone or that tablet, and then don't bother us. But we are increasingly doing this with our kids, and that is, like, you need to sit and be quiet alone in the car for 20 minutes. We're not going to give you a distraction in the car. You know why? Because that's a skill that you need to have in life. You need to be able to sit in silence. You need to be able to be bored and sit with being bored for a while. And so sometimes these events, these occasions, like a wedding, like an otherwise kind of an adult-oriented setting, is very good to bring kids in. And don't say, oh, you're going to be wild, so here's a phone. Instead say, yeah, it might be uncomfortable, but this is so good for your development to have to sit here and just listen to speakers, watch the ceremony, and be quiet.
Yeah, and just be quiet, kids.
Yes.
Just be quiet.
Like, do what mommy and daddy are doing in this situation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, not the drinking, which people do at weddings.
Well.
Everything else. All right, we can move off of that. I had to get that off my chest. Thank you guys for letting me share. I saw this story. This is John Curley had this guy on his show. I believe this was last week, and I thought this was really interesting. Because we're all paying for this. The Climate Commitment Act is a very expensive thing in our state. Everybody who's listening right now probably has heard of it. You're certainly paying the cost of it, even if you're unaware that you are.
Such a misnomer name, too.
Oh, it's like they
so
always
lame.
are. Like they always are.
Exactly.
Yeah. It should be called Pick the Pocket Act.
It should be called the Negligible Effect on Climate Act.
Absolutely. Yes. So that's interesting because Cliff Mass, he's a professor of atmospheric sciences at the University of Washington. And he was on the John Curley show on Friday, I believe. And this is what he had to say about the Climate Commitment Act and whether it's as valuable as the paper that it is printed on. Listen to this.
Climate Commitment Act, the impact of what we're doing here in Washington State is infinitesimal. And it doesn't make any sense at all. And that's the truth. The impact of just the United States now is only like 15% of the total problem, and Washington State is way less than like a tenth of a percent or less. So we're not the problem, and the Climate Commitment Act will have no benefit for mankind.
This was really interesting because he pointed out that technology is really the savior of the climate in the future.
To the extent that there is an existential threat from climate change, yes, technology.
Yes, which he says there's not an existential threat.
Right.
He goes, no, that's ridiculous. If you look back at 100 years of science and data that we have, there's nothing that should be alarming about what we're seeing right now, other than the fact that somebody figured out 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that it can be very profitable to tell people that the seas will rise. And he says, actually, if you look at it, the numbers, the seas are not rising any more dramatically than they have been in the past 100 years. There's cycles that these things go on, and this is not an existential threat. And he also says that one of the great things about the future is technology grows and gets better. And he talks about nuclear options. He talks about nuclear power and fusion. How that will be clean burning energy that will deliver what we need, and we're not going to be hurting the environment to the extent that we are even hurting the environment.
Speaking of being profitable, the government has made nearly $4 billion from the Negligible Effects on Climate Act. $4 billion
just in our state.
Yeah, that's
From
not
the CCA.
chunk change, right?
Yeah, from the CCA.
And much of that money is going to new hires within government. So it's been a great job creation program, albeit a bit expensive per job.
Do you know?
And last thing I want to say about this is we have some of the highest gas prices in the nation, and we do have a bit of an unaffordability crisis that's been happening. This is just another contributor to it that you can add to the list of about 100 things that government has done to make it more expensive to live here, not the private sector.
1,000%. Here's the other number that people will be shocked by. The $4 billion thing that you pointed out is a great one. And of that $4 billion that's been pulled in by the CCA, do you know the amount of money that actually makes it to fighting climate change?
Yeah.
Did you see this number?
A small amount.
Share it with the audience.
No, I don't know the exact number, but I know where you're going with this.
It's far less than 10%.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of the money just goes to, like you said, more bigger government, administrative costs,
more studies,
ridiculous
more
things,
bureaucracy.
more studies, more bureaucracy. People are getting so filthy, stinking rich off of this stuff. So rich. Do you remember Al Gore? Remember him? Lockbox guy? This is really interesting. After his Inconvenient Truth came out and won an Oscar, somebody started highlighting, they said, is this guy really like practicing what he's preaching? Because he was all about, energy consumption and all that stuff. And somebody said, did you know that he lives in a 20-bedroom mansion that has 8 bathrooms and burns more energy in 1 year than I think it was 30 houses? Is that what the number was? Somewhere like 30 houses. In 1 year, 20 times. 20 times the national average on electricity was burned in his giant mansion, which is like over 10,000 square feet. That's not somebody who actually believes what he's preaching.
Practices what they preach, right?
In my opinion, if you're somebody who's making a career and making hundreds of millions of dollars off of this idea, I don't think you'd be living in a 20-bedroom, 8-bathroom mansion that's burning as much electricity and natural gas, which has now turned into a thing that people hate for some reason, than 20 homes.
It speaks to integrity, and integrity comes from the word integer, which means whole. So integrity is wholeness. It means you're the same person in public as you are in private, and all around. It's a way to think about a life coherently lived, okay? And I think one of the ways you can tell if someone's trustworthy, honest, or full of BS is to see if they're living a life of integrity. Leonardo DiCaprio, also a guy who's big on climate, flies everywhere, private. John Kerry, similarly. Al Gore. One of the guys I actually have respect for, although I didn't agree with his politics, was someone like Pete Seeger, who's that folk singer from 1940s, 50s and stuff. Because he could have taken like fame and all this kind of stuff to the next level. Say what you will about his beliefs or his ideology. Disagree all you want. But from most accounts, the guy was full of integrity. And that's one of the things I respect most in a person, whether or not we disagree on any given issue. Integrity is like paramount in my mind.
Practice what you preach. I like it. Cliff Mass seems like a good dude. All right, we got a lot more coming up. There was a stabbing on a bus in Seattle, which is awful. We're going to tell you about that, but it relates to a national story. This was another viral national story that went around over the weekend that we should talk about. And, we just be aware out there, keep your eyes up, and be safe if you're taking public transit. We'll discuss it next. Stick around.
This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
The Northwest's trusted news source, KIRO Newsradio.
Police in Federal Way are investigating what appears to be a car explosion.
KIRO Newsradio's Luke Ducey is live from the neighborhood.
I can't tell you enough how crazy this scene is here.
Coverage you depend on.
A massive police presence in Kent.
From voices you know and trust.
We have an active fire inside one of these buildings here.
KIRO Newsradio on 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Goodbye, baseball. Home runs in 3 consecutive games. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper.
The Mariners' postseason push is on, and there's a whole new way to be part of the action. Introducing the Homestretch Flex Plan, a $500 membership that gives you the freedom to choose your games and seats for the rest of the season, all while saving 5% on tickets and no fees.
Strong play call. Triple digits to end it and complete the sweep.
You can use your credit however you want. Go big with club seats for a couple high-stakes showdowns, or stretch it out into the final series against the Dodgers. And the best part? Homestretch Flex members get priority access to our postseason pre-sale. That means you're first in line when October comes calling. The team is locked in.
J.P. Crawford! Game winner walk-off bench in the 9th inning.
And now it's time to bring the energy down the stretch. Come on board today at mariners.com/homestretch. Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
Upgrade your home comfort and save 20% during the Bob's Heating preseason furnace sale. With great savings plus free financing on heat pumps, water heaters, generators, and more, our award-winning team has what you need to stay cozy this chilly season at a cost you're comfortable with. Voted best in the Pacific Northwest, we're honored to be your dedicated home comfort company since 1957. Call Bob's and save today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you looking at senior living options for you or a loved one? If so, you likely have many questions, like, what can I afford? How long will my savings last? And if I run out of money, will I have to move out? If these questions are weighing on you, I'm here to talk you through different solutions. Hi, I'm Amanda from Care Partners Senior Living. At Care Partners, we're focused on offering high-quality, compassionate care at very affordable prices to help stretch and preserve your assets. And if you ever run out of funds and need to convert to Medicaid, you won't have to move. We have vibrant communities throughout Western Washington, Spokane, and Arizona offering independent, assisted living, and memory care. Our caregivers are some of the most loving and genuine people you'll ever meet. Stretch your assets, preserve your estate, and never worry about moving. That's peace of mind and the Care Partners Living Difference. Learn more at carepartnersliving.com. Care Partners is excited to announce our newest communities in Port Orchard, Sumner, Snohomish, and North Creek Bothell. Visit carepartnersliving.com.
Hey, I want to tell you a sellwithwes.com success story. Wes Jones knows how important your home sale can be for your future plans. So when he got a call from Susan in Federal Way, he was eager to step up and help her sell her home of 25 years.
Her house was her biggest asset, and this home sale was super meaningful for her. So she's like, I know that I'm leaving money on the table in the condition that it's in. Like, what can we do?
I told him up front that I did not have the time or finances to do what needed to be done. And he immediately jumped in with, well, I do.
He told her about their Listing Boost concierge service.
We identified probably 4 or 5 major things.
It just was all so fast. They did everything.
I'm a son of a builder, and I've done a lot of flips over the years. So this is work that we actually like to do. We are seeking this out.
And I would just tell anybody, here's his phone number, give him a call. He'll take care of it.
So if you're in the market to sell your home, do what Susan did. Check out Wes Jones and his team at sellwithwes.com. Sell with Wes, a better way to sell your home.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. Summer is the perfect time for a new roof. Take advantage of our easy financing, summer specials, and the best warranty in the business. Have a great summer. See you next hockey season. Trust Techline.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Operation Midway Blitz is underway in Chicago. That's what the Department of Homeland Security is calling its crackdown on illegal immigration in the city. Many Latino communities in Chicago now on edge.
Most of our neighbors don't know what to do, but we're telling our neighbors to please know your rights. Don't open your doors. If they don't have a warrant, they cannot come into your home.
The Homeland Security says it is only targeting undocumented immigrants with criminal records. CBS's Torian Small reports the operation follows a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court lifting restrictions on immigration stops in Los Angeles.
Allowing agents to stop people without reasonable suspicion that they are in the U.S. illegally, and instead rely on factors like race and if they're speaking Spanish.
Back here in Washington, the Sugarloaf fire, about 25 miles northeast of Leavenworth, blew up in size over the weekend. Fire Information Officer Bill Queen.
12,453 acres. We expect that to continue to grow.
It is 0% contained. Level 3 get out now warnings are in effect for the entire town of Ardenvor. Microsoft is continuing its wave of layoffs, cutting 42 more jobs in Redmond this week. Brings the total number of local layoffs to more than 3,200 since May. Microsoft is trimming staff amid a heavy investment in artificial intelligence, and it is not alone. Oracle, Amazon, and Salesforce have all made cuts in the Seattle area this year. Redmond is installing speed cameras near 3 schools, as we hear from KIRO Newsradio's Frank Lindsay.
The cameras near Redmond High School, Redmond Middle School, and Rose Hill Middle School are designed to reduce crashes and improve safety. According to KIRO 7, a January survey showed more than 50% of drivers at Rose Hill were speeding. Fines range from $110 to $290. The revenue will fund things like crosswalks and signage. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
At 2:33 now, we go to the traffic desk. Here's Nate Connors.
This report brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Good news, Everett. We cleared that crash. South 5 at State Route 526. No longer any backups there. Eastbound 526, however, remains heavy from the Boeing plant over to Evergreen Way. About a mile and a half of bumper-to-bumper traffic here. In Snohomish, our earlier backups on Highway 2 just north of 88th Street are thinning out, which makes me think that our road work is wrapped up. South 5 into Seattle, heavy from the Ship Canal Bridge in the downtown. Linwood to Seattle's 20 minutes. Our lake bridges are looking good. Bellevue to Renton on 405 is a 20-minute trip. Southbound 167 continues to get heavier between Algona and Sumner. And Federal Way to Tacoma, plan on 15 minutes. It's crowded from Highway 18 through that Fife curve. Tired of uneven home heating and high energy bills? The Quilt ductless heat pump from Home Comfort Alliance gives you room-by-room control and serious savings. Visit homecomfortalliance.com. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Thank you, Nate. Your forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Mix of clouds and sunshine today. Pleasant temperatures, highs in the low to mid-70s. Right now we're at 73 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granello, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the show. All right, this is kind of a darker topic, but I do think one that is important and people should be having it. I know a lot of people are having this conversation. But over the weekend, this was just Sunday night, so right? This is last night. A King County Metro bus was driving around doing its thing, and somebody on board was stabbed. And I haven't heard an update beyond the fact that the victim was in their 50s or 60s. They were transported to Harborview Medical Center, serious condition, as you would expect when somebody gets stabbed. And we don't know a lot about the person who stabbed them yet. But it reminded me, there was this, we've been talking about viral stories today on the show, it seems. And there was this viral story that kind of swept around. I saw it on X, everywhere on X. I did not see it almost anywhere else, but I did see it a bunch on X. There was a young woman. She was 23 years old. She was a recent refugee from Ukraine who moved to the United States. She was living in North Carolina. She had just gotten off work. She was still at a pizzeria. She's still wearing all of her pizzeria attire from her job. And she sits down on their light rail in North Carolina. And sadly, she sat in front of a man who decided, for whatever reason, that he was going to kill her. And the video was circulated. This happened on August 22nd. This wasn't this weekend, but this is when the video kind of circulated and went around. The video is awful. I did not watch the entire thing because I didn't want that in my brain. As often happens, it's just like we get this dump of information sometimes, and your brain is not built to see these horrible things. So if you can avoid it, try to. But I did watch the start of the video, and I watched the end. And she's just sitting there. She just gets on this train, and she sits down, and she's not even thinking about the person behind her. Or maybe she was, but she wasn't, thinking, he would do what he eventually did. So she starts staring at her phone. She's looking at her phone. And it's the saddest thing because this guy behind her, you can see him kind of notice her, just like a monster, just like hunting a helpless, innocent victim. He kind of slyly reaches into his pocket, pulls a knife out, and then...
in an instant, someone's life is extinguished.
Gone. And she has no chance. It's just, it's violent. It's horrible. He then is... the aftermath is grisly. The whole thing is just awful. And the reason that this bus stabbing in King County Metro reminds me of this is because we don't know a lot about the person who did the stabbing yet, but I do have to wonder, what is the mental state of the person on board? I don't know if this was, some sort of a gang activity. I don't know if they were sharing words and it ended up, in the case in Seattle. It certainly wasn't the case in North Carolina. It would not surprise me if the person who did the stabbing on the King County Metro bus, it wouldn't surprise me if we found out that they have a history of being arrested and locked up and maybe even having some mental health issues. The guy in North Carolina, we now know he's been arrested and charged with murder. He was arrested 14 prior times and was released. In fact, he was out on bail awaiting trial when he did this latest killing on August 22nd.
Was reportedly homeless.
Yeah. Clearly suffering from mental health issues. I don't know how somebody could do something so grisly and not be suffering from those issues. But I feel like the conversation needs to be had. We were just talking with Rachel Savage. She's running for Seattle City Council. We had her on the show earlier at 12:30. You should go back and listen to that conversation. If you have a mental health crisis and it is thriving in people who end up on the streets for whatever reason, it might be drug-induced, it might be mental health issues, whatever it is, the humane thing is not to leave them on the streets. And not only is it not humane to them, it doesn't seem to me that anybody should think that it's safe for the rest of us either, as this woman in North Carolina sadly found out. And when you look at her picture, honestly, like she looks like, you see pictures of her, she's got like platinum blonde hair. I think it's probably dyed hair. I don't know. But she looks like Marilyn Monroe. I mean, it's striking. She just looks this vibrant, young person with life snapped out in an instant because they decided in North Carolina to release this guy 14 times, and he was out on a no-cash bail.
Yeah.
That's why he was able to do this because he wasn't locked up.
Yeah, and Jake, I'm agreeing with you on most points, but I wrestle with this as someone in the media who reads a story like this and tries to discern what is of national interest, what is of local interest, What are the implications of talking about a given story. And I think sometimes we use anecdotes because it fuels our particular political agenda, and then we try to extrapolate that this is a trend or this is a narrative everyone should be aware of. And I do think it's important you brought up not just the stabbing on the Seattle Metro here, but also this story from North Carolina, because it does highlight a broad trend that we need to address, not just nationally, but here right under our nose here in the Northwest. And that is the phenomenon, one, of the amount of people with mental health issues that are allowed to just be out there free and, maybe have an episode at just the wrong time, and it leads to a horrific incident. I think of the Seattle Metro bus driver, Sean Yim, who was killed in December, which put this issue on a lot of city officials' radar and things like that. We have to make it easier to forcibly put some people in institutions. I'm just going to say it because, like you said, that's the humane thing to do, not to just let them linger out there doing no good to themselves or the public. I mean, some people, I'm sorry to say, need some form of monitoring and regular medication, and that's the best circumstance for them. And the other thing is crime on Metro, and there's a great write-up in the Seattle Times, I think by Mike Lindblom, about how Seattle area transit is pushing back against crime. So in light of that murder of Sean Yim, God rest his soul, there has been a huge increase and investment made in public safety officers, law enforcement on light rail and metro.
And the Riders Union, I think, demanded it.
They demanded
They said,
it,
you
yeah.
need to put safety guards
For
around
good
us
reason.
so that we don't have to come into contact with crazy people who are going to get on here and might want to do damage to us.
And think about this. I mean, we've come such a long way from 2020, but there was this kind of atmosphere of we need to rethink policing.
Yeah.
And actually, in a lot of cases, well, I think the police are the enemy. It's taken far too long for the pendulum to swing back in this direction of, no, actually, law enforcement are the good guys and they protect and serve.
More law enforcement,
And they keep us in our civilization from descending into chaos, okay? Can we finally come out and acknowledge that?
Yeah.
And it's sad that we've had so many, I don't know what you call it, collateral damage or whatever from that anti-police atmosphere that we endured for so long. Maybe there has been finally a slow awakening of, we need more cops, we need to pay them better, and we need them everywhere. I always feel safer when I'm seeing the cops out there like, oh, thank goodness.
100%.
Like, if anything goes down, it's going to be addressed immediately.
Absolutely.
And so maybe transit, metro, light rail, they're finally waking up to it. And I just say, here. It's long overdue.
Yeah. It was a tragic story in North Carolina. And, you just want to see these things. You want to avoid these as much as possible. If somebody is suffering from a mental health issue, let's help them off the street. They're not having a fun time on the street. They're confused as all heck, and they don't want to be there. And they might respond. I'm not excusing what this guy did. I'm assuming he wasn't seeing the world clearly when he's doing this thing to this woman, this horrible thing. He's now going to end up paying a dear, dear price for that, as she did. And wouldn't it have been better if one of the 14 times that he was locked up, he was given the help probably that he needed so that she didn't end up dead, but also now he wouldn't have been a murderer. And maybe he would have gotten the meds that he needed. And maybe he would have ended up having something like a life that he could have been happy about.
And there's also been an overemphasis on rehabilitation in frequent cases where it's just not going to pan out that way, and an underappreciation for issuing a punishment that meets the crime.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around. We got your text messages coming in next. Lots of topics, lots of conversations with opinions today. We're getting 1,000 text messages on the Phillies Karen lady, so we'll read you a bunch of those coming up. Stick around.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We continue to be in recovery mode on northbound I-5.
Watch live on YouTube or the KIRO News Radio app.
Newfangled idea of having to see the people while they're talking.
The office, the gym, wherever you are.
Get on the YouTube channel. The whole gang's there.
KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM, powered by MyNorthwest.com.
Hey, Spike O'Neill here with Dr. Matthew Sharp, owner of Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens. Dr. Sharp, I keep getting questions from our listeners. When's the right time to have this procedure? My eyes are changing. Should I wait until they're done changing?
Well, I always tell patients, do it now. Don't wait. Whatever age you are, and that's part of the mission of Sharp Vision, is that whatever age you are, whatever prescription you have, we try to find a procedure that works for you. When you're young, LASIK and PRK are great procedures. As we get older, the refractive lens exchange becomes more appealing because that can fix whatever glasses prescription, whether you're farsighted, nearsighted, or have astigmatism, and it fixes it permanently so you don't develop cataracts, and it allows you to see near without glasses.
Do what I did. Schedule a consultation to learn everything you need to know from the best Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens. 425-451-2020, or go online to sharp-vision.com. That's sharp with an E-vision.com.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you're a veteran struggling with your monthly bills, VA loan expert Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage has some good news for you.
Rates have dropped recently, and this could be a great time for our veterans to think about a cash-out refinance to get out of your high-interest rate debt. For example, one of our clients had a 2.25% VA loan, but he owed more than $155,000 on credit cards and a home equity loan. So we paid off all of that debt and replaced his mortgage with a VA cash-out refinance. And the new VA loan saved him $1,268 per month. So give us a call and see if a VA cash-out refi can help save you money. And remember, with a VA loan, you can buy a home with no money down.
And you can help non-veterans as well.
That's right. If you have a conventional loan, we'll run the numbers and see if we can help save you money too.
Honest advice you can trust from